Chapter 399. Duan Haiyang puffed out a mouthful of smoke and said solemnly, "She's courting death. Didn't you see that she didn't say a word along the way? I even saw her cry. She must have encountered some obstacle that she can't get over. But this kind of girl is so skilled and beautiful. Judging from her mannerisms, she should be a girl from a wealthy family. What's there to be upset about? What's there to be unhappy about?" Wang Guqing lamented. Duan Haiyang laughed bitterly and said, "Everyone suffers. Can't get what they want, hate, love, and leave. I think it's most likely that she can't get what she wants. Maybe she was hurt by love. Damn, someone doesn't want such an outstanding girl and even abandons her. Damn, is he human? He should be struck to death by lightning." Zhao Xiao complained angrily. He felt that Tang Linglong couldn't be described as outstanding. She was an extraordinary woman. She was a swordsman who was better than Hong Fu and First Madame Gongsun. She was a heroine who was better than Shi Jianxiao and Qiu Jin. But someone actually rejected her love. This person was really causing trouble. She couldn't tolerate it. "Achoo, who the hell is scolding me?" Jiang Tian drove his flying sword south. When he was about to reach the Diaoyu Islands, he suddenly sneezed violently. "Master, there seems to be cannons. Have they already started fighting? But why is it East Asians fighting East Asians?" Behind him, Li Jinju was very shocked and puzzled. She had already heard the cannons. Moreover, she saw several East Asian patrol ships firing fiercely at a warship that also had a medicinal flag flying. This little girl, is she trying to anger me to death? Jiang Tian's divine sense swept across more than 10 nautical miles and immediately saw everything clearly. He couldn't help but be shocked. He saw numerous ship cannons firing fiercely at the warship that Tang Linglong was on. Tang Linglong was covered in wounds and dripping with blood. However, she still steered the warship towards the Crimson Stone unyieldingly. Her lifeless eyes were filled with tears, and she was still muttering to herself, "Master, in my next life, I hope to meet you sooner. I promise that I will be better than Sister Qingya. You will never fall in love with another woman." Jiang Tian had already vaguely felt that Tang Linglong's feelings for him had already surpassed that of a master-disciple relationship, but he absolutely did not expect that Tang Linglong, this girl, would be so extreme. Just because she misunderstood the relationship between him and Li Jinju, she actually used this kind of suicidal killing to end her life. If he didn't happen to rush over, Tang Linglong would have undoubtedly died. But at that moment, Jiang Tian didn't have time to think. With a low shout, he waved his right hand. The black iron flying shuttle shot out from the storage ring and pierced towards the Crimson Stone with a shrill whistle. The black iron flying shuttle's speed broke the sound barrier, and its pure physical attack was also far superior to that of ordinary missiles. It started from the cockpit of the Crimson Stone and slanted down to the bottom of the ship, piercing through it. Jiang Tian stepped on his flying sword and shot over like a hurricane. At the same time, he made an incantation gesture. The black iron flying shuttle directly shot toward another patrol ship from the bottom of the sea. Like a torpedo, it pierced through the second warship with a clang. For the maximum speed of Little Black's flying sword, a dozen nautical miles was only a matter of a breath. Jiang Tian quickly came to the sky above the sea area and directly threw out 6 or 7 5 Thunderjade talismans as if they were free. Boom! Boom! Ball-shaped lightning seemed to burst out from the cockpits and the weapons cockpits of the 3 Japanese cruisers. The lightning as thick as a thumb danced wildly like silver snakes, smashing all the Japanese crew members and the weapons systems of the information and command system into pieces. At this time, Tang Linglong had not noticed anything unusual. This kind of pure physical attack did not cause any earth-shattering explosions, so the commotion was relatively small. She continued to drive the big hill toward the slightly tilted Crimson Stone. The 2 patrol ships were only a few meters away from each other. At this time, in the messy cockpit, Tang Linglong, who was covered in blood, let go of the rudder and slid into the seat. She felt very tired, very tired. She had lost an astonishing amount of blood. If it were not for the fact that she was hanging on by one breath, she would have died long ago. She slowly closed her eyes. Her heart was filled with despair but also extremely calm. She murmured weakly, "It's great. I'm finally free." "Stupid girl, do you want to die? My, Kong Teichu's disciple is not as useless as you." Suddenly, a gentle voice rang out. Tang Linglong tried her best to open her eyes. She saw Jiang Tian, who was dressed in white, standing behind her with his hands behind his back. She could not help but be shocked. "Master, why are you here?" Then she shook her head and said, "I must be dreaming. People will always have all kinds of hallucinations before they die." She fainted again. Jiang Tian carried Tang Linglong and stepped on the flying sword again. In a flash, they arrived on Hua Xia's surveillance ship number 2038. You are? Zhang Haiyang was dumbfounded when he saw the shocking scene through the binoculars. This young man could actually step on a big sword and shoot through the air. His speed was really comparable to a supersonic fighter jet. Moreover, he could shoot out black shadows and burst out lightning between his fingers. It was simply like a missile or a ball of lightning. Could it be that he was a special department of the country and was using the latest cutting-edge weapons? "Comrade, I need a cabin to treat her." Jiang Tian's expression was very serious. Tang Linglong was seriously injured and could not wait any longer. "Please. We have a doctor on board here. Do you need help?" Zhang Haiyang hurriedly said. Whether it was Jiang Tian or Tang Linglong, he was full of admiration. They were heroes, great heroes. "No, I know medicine." Jiang Tian entered a cabin and quickly laid Tang Linglong flat on a camp bed. He closed the cabin door and began the treatment. Jiang Tian was busy for half an hour and finally cured Tang Linglong. His first thought was to take Tang Linglong and Li Jinju away. Tang Linglong was different from him. Her identity was sensitive. This matter had been blown out of proportion. She would definitely be disciplined. But before he could leave, Yi Zhantian and Tang Hongtu boarded the surveillance ship together. It turned out that there was a video surveillance on the ship. Tang Linglong's identity had been screened by the military's information system. Her identity was exposed. The situation was very serious. Surveillance ship number 2038 began to return. Its destination was a naval base in Ningbo. What awaited Tang Linglong was severe military punishment. When Tang Linglong woke up again, she saw Tang Hongtu standing in front of her bed, his face full of anger. "Uncle!" Tang Linglong was shocked and cried out involuntarily. "You are now the national hero of Huaxia." Tang Hongtu's face was pale and his voice was hoarse. He had not slept for 2 days and 2 nights. The dark circles under his eyes were very serious. "Did I cause trouble?" Tang Linglong asked, a little ashamed. "What do you think?" Tang Hongtu said coldly. "You caused a mess and sunk 6 patrol ships in Japan. More than 500 people were killed or injured. The whole of Japan was shaken, and an unprecedented parade broke out." This, Tang Linglong propped herself up and leaned against the headboard. She asked in a trembling voice, "Is this serious? 6 ships, that's not right, I only sank 3 ships." "It's more than serious. Do you know how much trouble you have caused the country?" Tang Hongtu was too lazy to explain. He pointed at Tang Linglong's nose and shouted angrily. An hour after the incident, the Prime Minister of Japan began a serious negotiation with our country. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs also expressed strong protest and condemnation. They also requested that the culprit be handed over to the Japanese. In addition, we also received secret information that the Japanese Sakura Society announced that they will secretly infiltrate Huaxia and wreak havoc. Blood for blood. You are a soldier. You know that this can be defined as a military operation by the Japanese. Don't you understand the seriousness of this matter? Tang Linglong's face was pale. She already regretted it. At that time, she was in too much pain and impulsive. She only wanted to die, but she did not want to die in vain. She happened to see the family fortune fishing boat and wanted to kill a group of Japanese on the Diaoyu Islands to vent her anger. However, she forgot that she was not an ordinary Huaxia citizen. She was a long-formation warrior, an elite in the Huaxia army. Once this news was exposed, the nature of the matter would completely change. It would change from a civilian operation to an organized and premeditated military operation. It might even cause a war between the two countries. She took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Uncle, I know I was wrong. I will bear all the responsibility." "How are you going to bear the responsibility? How are you going to bear the responsibility?" At this time, a cold and solemn voice was heard. A beautiful woman about 27 or 28 years old pushed the door open and entered. When Tang Hongtu saw the woman enter, he was shocked. He cupped his fists and said, "Greetings, Miss Chen. I didn't expect to alarm you." The woman was tall and handsome. Her face was cold and full of dignity. Even when facing a high-ranking military official like Tang Hongtu, she only nodded slightly. Tang Linglong knew that the woman's status was definitely not ordinary. She frowned and asked, "Who are you?" The woman looked arrogant and did not say anything. Tang Hongtu quickly said, "Linglong, don't be rude. This is a member of Hua Xia's Condor team. She's a descendant of the Chen family, one of the 7 major families in Beijing, Qin Shuejiao." Condor team? Tang Linglong was stunned. Her heart skipped a beat. Hua Xia's Condor team was a very special and mysterious organization. It was a semi-official organization that was established after the new era. Its members were all from the top influential families in Beijing. Most of them held important positions in Hua Xia's key departments. Their influence in the secular world of Hua Xia even exceeded that of the Huaxia Long formation. However, they also had an ancient martial arts background. Most of their members were sent to those ancient martial arts sects, and even semi-hidden sects and hidden sects to train and gain experience. The Huaxia Long formation evolved from the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade during the Republic of China. It had a long history. However, Hua Xia's Condor team had the support of the martial arts sects and hidden sections. Although they were very young, their cultivation level was very high. In the past few years, the Condor team had developed rapidly. In terms of overall strength and influence, it had already surpassed the Huaxia Long formation. It was said that Chao Jianjia had wanted to join the Condor team many years ago. However, her wish was not granted. She had been brooding over it all these years. Yi Zhantian had also sent his daughter, Yi Karen, to the Condor team to gain experience instead of joining the Long formation that he was personally in charge of. It was clear that the Condor team was a high-end organization. It seems that the little girl from the Tang family is quite knowledgeable. She even knows about the Condor team. Chen Shuejiao crossed her arms and raised her chin arrogantly. She snorted coldly and reprimanded, "But you're too ignorant and reckless to make a move against the Japanese. You're simply a retard. You destroyed the Japanese patrol ships by force and launched a military operation without authorization. This has seriously affected Hua Xia's diplomatic strategy. Do you think that you can make the people of Hua Xia feel grateful to you? Bullshit. Now you've caused a lot of trouble and put the Hua Xia officials in a difficult position. Do you know that?" Chapter 400. I've said it before, I'll take responsibility. Tang Linglong's face turned cold as she shouted angrily. Although she knew that she was no match for Qin Shuejiao in terms of power, status, and influence, she could not accept such humiliation. "Idiot, how are you going to take responsibility?" Chen Shuejiao curled her red lips and said disdainfully, "You're a member of Fighting Dragon, an elite in Hua Xia's army. Where is the dignity of our country if we hand you over? Where is the dignity of our nation? But if we don't hand you over, how are we going to answer to the Japanese? Can you think of a foolproof plan? Tell me." Tang Linglong was stumped by her question. She was tongue-tied and had nothing to say. Her face was tense and solemn. "Miss Chen, Linglong knows that she's wrong. I hope that the Condor team can give her a chance." Tang Hongtu bowed and said with a smile, "She's a patriotic woman after all. She's doing this to protect the dignity of our country and our nation." "Officer Tang, you should know that a soldier's first duty is to obey orders from their superiors. She's acting on her own accord and has caused the country to be in a passive position. Is she still worthy of being a soldier? The Tang family is also a military family. How can you teach such a piece of trash?" Chen Shuejiao scolded harshly. She did not even give Tang Hongtu any face. Ms. Chen's scolding is reasonable. Tang Hongtu's face was red. He could only agree and apologize. There's only one way now. Chen Xuejiao raised her chin and said proudly, "First, we'll expel Tang Linglong from the military and move the time back to half a year ago. Then, everything on Fishing Island will be her personal and civil actions. Also, the Condor team will send her to Japan and let the Japanese judge her." "What? How can you do this?" Tang Linglong trembled and tears welled up in her eyes. She could not accept this at all. Not only would she be expelled from the military, but she would also be sent to Japan to be judged by the court. She could be imprisoned for life or even sentenced to death. Hearing this, Tang Hongtu frowned and pondered for a long time before asking in a heavy tone, "Chen Xuejiao, is this your personal opinion or the Condor Group's?" "This is the opinion of the 7 major families in Beijing and the Condor team. Of course, I personally think that this is very reasonable. I hope that Zhanlong will fully cooperate with the military," Chen Xuejiao said arrogantly. Tang Hongtu's face stiffened as despair filled his heart. The 7 dominant families of Yanjin were too powerful. They were all top nobles and had the support of martial arts sects and hidden sections. Their strength was far beyond that of Chao Shixiang's family. Their power was too great. They controlled the inside and outside of the Red Wall, the imperial court was high, and the Jianghu was far away. Everything was their power. Their words carried enormous weight. Such a terrifying clan, such a transcendent power, not to mention a small Tang family, even the head of the Tang family wouldn't be able to shake their decision. He sighed deeply in his heart. Looking at Tang Linglong, he said solemnly, "Linglong, you have to be rational. Don't make any unnecessary resistance. Cooperate with the Condor team first. I will definitely protect you." "What Condor team? In my opinion, they are just a few sparrows. How dare they decide the fate of my disciple?" At this time, an arrogant and cold voice sounded out. Jiang Tian kicked the door open with a bang and walked in with large strides. "Master, I have embarrassed you." Tang Linglong looked at Jiang Tian with mixed feelings. She was grateful, ashamed, and frustrated. "No, you have done well." Jiang Tian reached out and patted her head. He smiled gently and said, "You have killed a lot of Japanese and raised the prestige of our country. I am very proud of you." "You are Kong Teichu?" Qin Shuero looked at Jiang Tian and was slightly shocked. Even though the Condor team was powerful enough to intimidate Huaxia, it was no less powerful than the Huaxialong formation. Even though she was the daughter of the Qin family in Yanjin, Kong Teichu's valiant achievements and fame made her very wary. "Since you know it's me, get out of here." Jiang Tian turned around and said coldly, "Bitches are pretentious. Who do you think you are to talk to me?" Jiang Tian noticed that Qin Xuejiao had also reached the initial transcendent state as soon as he entered the room. To be able to reach the realm of martial Dao Grandmaster before the age of 30 was already amazing in the eyes of others. But in Jiang Tian's eyes, she was nothing. "Kong Teichu, don't think that you are so great just because you are the most powerful Grandmaster in Huaxia. Do you know that there are at least 80 people in the Yin sect who are as powerful as you? Huaxia is not a place for you to be so arrogant." Chen Xuejiao's face turned red when she heard Qin Fan say, "Bitches are pretentious." Her chest heaved as she shouted angrily. The Chen family was very influential in the political and business world. They controlled the Ministry of Foreign Trade and the Energy and Mineral Department and had the support of the Yin sect. They were very powerful. They had secret collaborations with many Japanese tycoons and families and were very imaginative in the international arena. This made the arrogant and domineering Qin Xuejiao act like everyone has to listen to me, no matter who she was facing. Most importantly, although Jiang Tian was rumored to be a god in the underworld, Qin Xuejiao found that Jiang Tian did not have the powerful aura of a cultivator when she saw Jiang Tian. She could not help but wonder if these rumors were true. "Bitch, I will show you how arrogant I am this time." Jiang Tian's eyes turned cold. He raised his hand and swatted it down as if he was swatting a fly. He snorted and said, "Bitch, kneel down and talk to me." Boom, boom. Qin Xuejiao felt a violent and irresistible pressure. It was as if tens of thousands of mountains were pressing down on her together. Her cultivation could not withstand such pressure at all. The bones in her body creaked as if they were about to break. Her body sank and her knees bent uncontrollably. She knelt on the ground. Kong Techu, let go of me. I am a member of the Condor team. I am a disciple of Wu Dang sect. I am the daughter of the Chen family of Yanjin. How dare you touch me? Chen Xuejiao struggled and tried her best to exert her transcendent stage cultivation, but to no avail. So what if you are from the Condor team? So what if you are from Wu Dang sect? What bullshit is the Chen family? They are nothing in my eyes. How dare you use them as your trump card? As Jiang Tian's hand pressed down, she was still lying on the ground like a toad despite the humiliation and resentment on her face. Master Kong. Tang Hongtu was once again at a loss for words. He could not believe what he had just seen. Even in the eyes of Tang Hongtu, the Condor team was not to be trifled with because they had the support of the sects and even the Yin sects. The Chen family of Yanjin was even more influential in Huaxia. Chao Shixiang's family and the Tang family of Linzhou City were too far away from them. Jiang Tian's performance had shocked him. It was the first time he had seen such a domineering person. Jiang Tian truly did things his own way, running amok without fear. It was as if wherever he went, it was his territory. Wherever he went, everything there would belong to him. Everything had to submit to him, and he had to listen to his orders. With such an overbearing overlord, no matter where he went, he would be the king of the world. To Tang Hongtu, Chen Xuejiao was like a princess. She was superior and could not be disrespected or offended. However, with Jiang Tian, everything had changed. The daughter of the Qin family, who used to be a member of the Condor team, was forced to kneel on the ground by Jiang Tian. Whether it was the Condor team, the Qin family of Yanjin, or even the semi-hidden Wu Dang sect, they were just ants in Jiang Tian's eyes. So what if I hit you? Is the Condor team that powerful? What's so great about Wu Dang sect and the Yin sects? Jiang Tian snorted arrogantly. Where were you when Lin Zhenyu and Xiaobin took down Huaxia? In the end, he still chose to be a coward. I was the one who led Zhan Long to fight with them. Do you think you are worthy of being a big shot in front of me? Master Kong, she is just a junior. Please let her go. Yi Zhantian heard Chen Xuejiao scream and hurried over. He was shocked and quickly tried to persuade Chen Xuejiao. He did not expect that Jiang Tian would still be so domineering even after he had told Chen Xuejiao everything. Fine, Brother Yi, I will give you face and spare her life. But don't do it again. Jiang Tian snorted and retracted his hand. Chen Xuejiao struggled to get up. She was panting heavily, but she still glared at Jiang Tian with hatred. Jiang Tian said lightly, "Don't glare at me. This has nothing to do with my disciple. I will take full responsibility." How do you want to take responsibility? Chen Xuejiao sneered. I will go to Japan with you. I would like to see how the Japanese will judge me. As long as they have the ability to kill me, even if they use heavy weapons, it will be their ability. Jiang Tian's expression did not change as he said indifferently. Very well, Boss Yi, Officer Tang, as you can see, Master Kong is willing to go. Chen Xuejiao was neither servile nor overbearing even in front of Yi Zhantian. She was not intimidated by Jiang Tian's words. Moreover, this matter involves an international dispute. You should understand the seriousness of the matter. I advise the Dragon Group not to interfere. As the elites of the army, the Dragon Group must obey the orders of their superiors and must not interfere. Tang Hongtu furrowed his brows. He knew the gravity of the situation. The Chen family of Yanjin controlled the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation and monopolized the import of many electronic and automobile brands in Japan. They were deeply involved with the Japanese business community. Tang Linglong's action had shaken the entire Japanese. The political circle and the tycoons protested. It had seriously affected the Qin family's interests. Therefore, the Qin family had to find a scapegoat to answer to the Japanese. Chen Xuejiao wasn't exaggerating at all. The opinions of the 7 major families in Yanjin were like an imperial edict. Not even Chao Shixiang dared to defy them. As for the long formation, if they wanted to stand up for Jiang Tian, they had to consider the ancient Wudong sect behind the Qin family. Master, you can't do this. Tang Linglong was taken aback. She said anxiously, there are members of the Cherry Blossom Society in Japan. They might even use large-scale firearms. If you go in alone, they will kill you. Master Kong, you must be careful. Yi Zhantian warned anxiously. There are several immortal state warriors in the Cherry Blossom Society. These immortal state warriors are as powerful as the top elites on the dark roll. It is reckless for you to go in alone. Chapter 401. Don't worry, Brother Yi. These Japanese cherry blossoms are just a bunch of weaklings. I can kill them easily. Jiang Tian smiled at Yi Zhantian to express his gratitude. If Jiang Tian had not cultivated the Gung Metal Divine Body, even if he was at the 5th level of Qi refining stage, he would still have to be careful when facing an immortal state cultivator. But now that he had cultivated the Gung Metal Divine Body, Jiang Tian was not afraid at all. He was determined to win. But Yi Zhantian's reminder was out of goodwill. A trace of pleasure flashed in the depths of Qin Shuejiao's eyes when she saw this. Jiang Taichu, oh, Jiang Taichu, you're really too arrogant. Do you know what the Japanese will do to you? You have a death wish. Yi Zhantian could only sigh. Jiang Tian was the future hope of Hua Xia's martial arts community. He even had the idea of letting Jiang Tian inherit the long formation dragon head. If Jiang Tian were to fall, it would be the greatest loss to Hua Xia's martial arts community. Yi Zhantian was not very fond of the Yin sect. The Yin sect members were very strong, but they only focused on cultivation and did not care about worldly affairs. No matter how powerful or transcendent such a master was, what good would it do for Huaxia? Rely on them to defend against foreign invaders? What a joke! You go out first. I have a few words to say to Mr. Yi. Jiang Tian glanced at Chen Shuejiao. Chen Shuejiao hesitated and did not leave immediately. She wondered if this kid would take the opportunity to escape. Get out! Seeing this, Jiang Tian glanced at her and scolded coldly, Are you afraid that I will run away? What a joke! I, Kong Taichu, have never been afraid of a fight in my life. Do you think I am a member of the Yin sect? Yi Zhantian smiled warmly and said, Shuejiao, don't worry. Master Kong has always been a man of his word. All right, Boss Yi, you have to be responsible for your words. Chen Shuejiao was so angry that the roots of her teeth itched. She wanted nothing more than to chop Jiang Tian into pieces and eat his meat. However, she could only walk out. Jiang Tian then looked at Tang Hongtu and Tang Linglong and said, Linglong, you two go out first. Yes, master. Tang Linglong and Tang Hongtu left together. When Tang Linglong went out, she realized that she was now at a naval training base in Ninghai City. It was heavily guarded outside, and many soldiers were armed with live ammunition. Obviously, she was being held as the person in charge. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, Brother Yi, you haven't finished talking about the sects and the hidden sects. The sects are easy to understand. Yi Zhantian smiled and said, In today's Huaxia, there are many sects such as Ancient Kunlun, Ancient Wudong, Ancient Diansong, Ancient Shu Mountain Sword Sect, and many others. They live in seclusion in the mountains and ponds. They don't care about worldly affairs and focus on cultivation. They have hundreds or even thousands of years of history. Some of them even started in the pre-Qin dynasty. They have a strong foundation, and in terms of cultivation techniques, cultivation resources, and talents, they are far superior to any martial arts family that we know of. This is also the reason why the Condor team rose to prominence. Their members are all disciples of secular families who have been trained by these sections. Jiang Tian interrupted and said, Do they have immortal state cultivators? Yi Zhantian sighed and said, Take ancient Wudong for example. It is said that there are 5 or 6 immortal state elders in charge. They are all over 100 years old. Some of them are even old monsters who have lived since the Qing dynasty. They are living fossils. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. In the long formation, Yi Zhantian was the only one who was half a step away from immortal state. Ancient Wudong alone had 5 or 6 immortal state elders. It could be said that if the Long Formation did not have the secret support of the country and the military, the Long Formation might not even be as powerful as Ancient Wudong. As for the hidden sects, they are also divided into semi-hidden sects and fully hidden sections. Yi Zhantian said, "Most of the sects that we have talked about before are semi-hidden sections. After all, we know their names and their approximate locations. As for the fully hidden sects, we don't even know where they are. They are known as the unknown place." The Long Formation is a huge intelligence agency with the support of the military. But we still don't know where they are? Jiang Tian was slightly shocked. Huaxia is a vast land and there are many extraordinary people. There are only a few people in the Long Formation. How can they know the whole of Huaxia like the back of their hand? Yi Zhantian smiled bitterly and shook his head. These hidden sects have strict rules and it is not easy for their disciples to come out. Some people can't even leave the hidden sects for the rest of their lives. In addition, even if they are allowed to come out, they will not reveal the location of the hidden sects even if their lives are threatened. Secondly, the secret sect is usually protected by concealment defensive formations. These formations may have been left behind by ancient cultivators or they may have been set up by them themselves. However, based on the strength of an ordinary martial arts master, it is impossible to detect their existence. You should have read Tao Yuanming's Peach Blossom Spring. In fact, the Peach Blossom Spring that the people of Wuling entered during the Eastern Jin Dynasty should be a hidden sect. To be exact, it is a small world isolated by an array, a small space parallel to our world. Jiang Tian's heart raced and his hands trembled slightly. He was not afraid, but excited. If small worlds and small spaces really existed, then there might be many ancient inheritances in them, and there might be a lot of cultivation resources. Materials, companions, methods, and places were the 4 essentials of cultivation. Cultivation materials and resources were the most important, even more important than cultivation methods and immortal abodes. As the saying goes, even the cleverest housewife can't cook without rice. No matter how powerful you are, you can't do anything without cultivation resources. Originally, Jiang Tian thought that the earth was already in a dharma-ending age where spiritual qi was exhausted and cultivation resources were scarce. But now, for the first time, Jiang Tian realized that the world was so vast. Seeing Jiang Tian's expression change, Yi Zhantian looked at Jiang Tian meaningfully and said, "With your level and knowledge, you should have heard of the existence of the ruins of immortality." "You know about the ruins of immortality? It seems that the rumors I heard are true?" Jiang Tian asked. In the legends of the cultivation world, the ruins of immortality is the largest hidden sect world. It is said that it is a space isolated by ancient cultivators or qi cultivators of the pre-Qin dynasty. Yi Zhantian said with a serious face. It is said that every 100 years or so, the ruins of immortality will open. Cultivators from our world can enter, and people from the ruins of immortality can also come to our world to find disciples and successors. There is another rumor. At that time, many immortal state masters went into hiding not because they were afraid of nuclear weapons, but because they used a secret method to stop their blood and lifespan, to completely hibernate until the door to the ruins of immortality opens. There is also a group of people who are pessimistic about the opening of the ruins of immortality. They formed an organization to guard the secular world. "What organization?" Jiang Tian asked. "Hongmeng." Yi Zhantian sighed and said, "In fact, my father, Yi Tianren, is one of the members. But where they are hiding, I don't know." It turned out that Yi Tianren was still alive. Jiang Tian's heart skipped a beat. He then asked, "Mr. Yi, do you know anyone from the hidden sect? What is the attitude of the Long Formation and the martial arts world towards the hidden sect?" The real hidden sect and the ruins of immortality are not so easy to find. The Long Formation has a history of almost 100 years, but it has never touched the edge of the hidden sect. Yi Zhantian sighed and said, "What we really need to consider is the semi-hidden sections. The current policy of Huaxia is not to interfere, support, or attack the semi-hidden sections. They live in seclusion in the mountains and swamps. Generally speaking, they will not commit crimes. Even if they do commit crimes, the long formation won't be able to detect it, right? Jiang Tian smiled slightly and said with a slight sneer. An immortal state master could speak the truth and kill people unknowingly. The long formation could not deal with him. In the final analysis, the long formation could only suppress the masters under the immortal state in the martial arts families closely connected with the secular world. For the semi-hidden sects or the real hidden sect, the long formation was just a decoration. Brother Jiangtian, can your mouth be any sharper? Yi Zhantian shook his head helplessly and said, but what you said is also true. The long formation can't do anything to an immortal state master. But at least they don't do things on a large scale and invade the secular world. As for the fights between the semi-hidden sects, they are usually in the mountains and swamps. Even if they fight to the death, it won't affect the secular world. The higher-ups of the government and the dragon group will turn a blind eye to it. Now the officials have drawn out some areas for them to prohibit the secular world from entering. You often see some tourist-prohibited areas in some scenic spots. It is very likely that some semi-hidden sects are located there. Then he asked Yi Zhantian for more information about the hidden sect. Jiang Tian smiled and said, the sects such as the ancient Wudong sect have now joined forces with the secular aristocratic families to form the Condor group. Aren't you worried about the long formation that these semi-hidden sects will completely control the secular world? At least for now, there is no need to worry. Yi Zhantian said, the original intention of the Condor group was to protect Huaxia and resist the invasion of the world's masters. Besides, they now have the support of the 7 major families in Yanjin. Why should I go against them and look for trouble? Jiang Tian nodded and said, okay, Mr. Yi, let's stop here. I should go to Japan to receive my punishment. Brother Jiang, please wait. Yi Zhantian grabbed Jiang Tian's hand and sighed with reddened eyes. Actually, I and the entire long formation admire and support what you have done. But you are too humble. Some forces can't be shaken and some decisions can't be influenced. I am ashamed to say that the long formation and its predecessor the long formation, the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, have been good at defending but not aggressive enough. They have only killed and driven away those troublemakers in Huaxia. They have never stepped out of the country. Perhaps in Yi Zhantian's heart, this might be the final farewell between him and Jiang Tian. He said all the words hidden in his heart in one breath. But you, in the Battle of Hassa Island in Xing Continent, in the Battle of Tanjun's Taoist Palace, you stepped out of the country, brazenly brandished your sword, and showed off the might of our country. You did what the Dragon Group wanted to do but didn't dare to do, wanted to do but couldn't do. In my heart, and in the hearts of all the members of the Long Formation, you are a well-deserved hero, a great hero. Chapter 402. Jiang Tian thought to himself, Old Yi, you think too highly of me. What kind of hero am I? I don't have such a high level of self-awareness. To put it bluntly, they were the ones who provoked me, so I went to avenge them. Otherwise, I would have killed them for their treasures. As for controlling the Huaxia faction and Tanjun's faction, I didn't even think about it before I took action. That was what he thought, but he couldn't say it out loud. Jiang Tian smiled and said, Brother Yi, you are flattering me. Besides, I understand that you represent the martial arts community of Huaxia and have a military background. There are a lot of things that you can't do. I know that you came to Japan not because you want to surrender, but because you want to defeat all the Japanese elites. Yi Zhantian said seriously. But you have to understand that this battle is going to be very dangerous. If you can't beat them, run away immediately. Revenge is a dish best served cold. When you reach the immortal state, or even beyond that, we will deal with them. Jiang Tian saw the redness in Yi Zhantian's eyes. He patted him on the shoulder and said, Brother Yi, don't worry. Prepare some good wine. When I come back, let's celebrate. With that, he walked out of the door. Outside the door was a spacious living room. A few young men with extraordinary bearings and vast auras stood there with solemn expressions on their faces. They were all members of the Condor team. Most of them were members of the Red Wall and came from the top 7 families of Yanjin. Moreover, they were often supported and nurtured by their respective sections. Most of them were above the transcendent state in terms of martial arts cultivation. They could be said to be the most outstanding group of young talents in China. Grandmaster Jiang, have you finished saying your last words? Chen Xuejiao crossed her arms and sneered disdainfully. Are you looking for a beating? If you keep showing off, I will strip you naked and throw you on the street. Jiang Tian glared at Chen Xuejiao. Chen Xuejiao's face turned pale and she took a step back. After that, Jiang Tian ignored him and waved his hand indifferently. Let's go. Let's board the plane and head straight to Japan. Master! Tang Linglong limped forward and threw herself into Jiang Tian's arms. She hugged Jiang Tian tightly and wailed with tears in her eyes, I'm unfilial. I'm guilty. I'm sorry that I've harmed you this time. It's fine. I'm going to Japan for a vacation. What's there to be sad about? With a gentle smile, Jiang Tian patted her shoulder and swept his sharp gaze across the crowd. My disciple only killed a few Japanese devils. What crime did she commit? You can rest assured. Whoever dares to bully you, whoever dares to touch a single strand of your hair, when Master returns, I will chop them into pieces. When the experts of the Condor team met Jiang Tian's sharp gaze and felt the terrifying pressure emanating from Jiang Tian, they subconsciously took a step back. Their eyes were filled with fear, and their hearts were filled with unease. Master Kong, you must be joking. We admire Tang Linglong very much. We all know that Tang Linglong's actions are out of patriotism. However, her actions have seriously affected the relationship between Japan and our country. We have to give her an explanation. The young man in the lead took a step forward and bowed with cupped fists. His expression was humble and respectful, but a trace of jealousy that was difficult to notice flashed in the depths of his eyes. His name was Qin Zongheng, the young master of the Qin family in Yanjin. He was a Dian-Song sword cultivator and had already reached the initial transcendent state. Before Jiang Tian's rise, he had been regarded as the top cultivation genius in Huaxia. Recently, Yizhantin had even ranked him as the 20th on the divine roll. He'd always been extremely conceited and complacent, but since Jiang Tian swept through and rose up in a domineering manner, his radiance was instantly covered by Jiang Tian, and it was like a grain of rice that couldn't compete for brilliance with the bright moon, dimming in comparison. How could he not be jealous? That's right. I'm going to Japan this time to give you an explanation and give them an explanation. Jiang Tian cracked a smile and said, he didn't like the Condor team at all. The Condor team was a group of top elites in Huaxia. They claimed that they were responsible for reviving Huaxia and protecting the country. They even had the potential to crush the Long Formation and replace it. But in fact, these slogans, these bold words, were all shouted for others to see. They were good at scheming against each other, doing business and playing politics, but how many of them had ever fought on the front lines? How many of them had bled or been injured? How could they be as brave as Huaxia's dragon group, risking their lives to kill the enemy? After all, they hadn't been tempered by war. They relied on the protection of their ancestors and enjoyed the fruits of others' labor. They didn't have much courage. They only thought about building a good relationship with the international overlords and winning economic benefits for their families or themselves. Just like how Tang Linglong killed a few Japanese soldiers, they were eager to show their goodwill to Japan and give them an explanation. They were like traitors who had betrayed their country. Where was their backbone? Where was their courage? Even though they had the support of their sects or even semi-hidden sects, even though they had many transcendent state grandmasters among them, they were nothing in Jiang Tian's eyes. Grandmaster Jiang is truly lofty and lofty, swallowing 10,000 li like a tiger. Master Kong had been to Singapore and had become the Grand Preceptor of Singapore. He had taken control of the Tan family and abolished the Koryo Medical College. He had shown the might of our country. Qin Zongheng cracked a smile and said, if Master Kong sets foot in Japan, I think he will be able to return to his country safely. How could the Japanese overlord stand a chance against Master Kong? Although his words were praising Jiang Tian, The corners of his eyes were filled with ridicule. In his eyes, so what if Jiang Tian was an immortal state warrior? So what if he had killed Xiaobin? The Japanese Cherry Blossom Society was one of the top organizations in the world. It was not something that the Chinese Club of Star State and the Russian Winter Soldiers could compare with. Xiaobin had only reached the half-step immortal state after 20 years of hard work. Wang Chongyan had not even reached the half-step immortal state yet. He had only cultivated both Dharma spells and martial arts and was as powerful as a half-step immortal state warrior. The Japanese Cherry Blossom Society was guarded by several immortal state warriors. Jiang Tian's body was made of iron. How many nails could he crush? If he set foot in Japan this time, he would be crushed by the Cherry Blossom Society. Qin Zongheng thought gloatingly. This was also good. The Condor team's young master Bai was planning to take over the Dragon team. If Jiang Tian died, it would be equivalent to one less strong competitor. You want me to come back safely? Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, "Huh, is that all you can do? Aren't you underestimating me too much? Aren't you overestimating this Japanese scum? If I go to Japan, I will destroy the Cherry Blossom Society with a swing of my sword." The young overlords of the Condor team looked at Jiang Tian speechlessly. How arrogant! Disdainful and insufferably arrogant. Didn't he know how terrifying the Japanese Cherry Blossom Society was? The corners of Qin Zongheng's eyes twitched a few times when he was scolded by Jiang Tian as a good-for-nothing. However, he suppressed the anger in his heart and forced a smile. Ha, good. This time, I'll accompany Master Jiang to Japan. I'll also witness Master Jiang's monstrous cultivation and great achievements. Jiang Tian ignored him. He put his hands behind his back and walked out of the barracks. He boarded a helicopter with Qin Zongheng, Chen Xuejiao, and a few other martial arts experts. Master, I am afraid that I will never be able to repay your kindness. Tears streamed down Tang Linglong's cheeks as she watched the helicopter take off. She was full of regret. Her master had to take the blame for her impulsive actions. Don't worry, your master will be fine. Li Jinju handed her a tissue and comforted her gently. Go away. Shameless witch. How dare you seduce my master? I hate you. Tang Linglong looked at her. Her heart was filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. She pushed the tissue away and shouted. She had been jealous of Zhao Xueqing before, but it was not as intense as now. After all, she knew that Zhao Xueqing was her master's first wife. Before her master rose to power, she had never left him. Later, Zhao Xueqing embarked on the path of cultivation and became a supreme beauty. She did not even have the right to be jealous. However, it was different for Li Jinju. She was jealous. She was jealous that Li Jinju could win Jiang Tian's favor. She was jealous of her position in Jiang Tian's heart. She was jealous that she could be naked with Jiang Tian. She was jealous that she could help her master's career in South Korea. She was jealous. She was jealous of Li Jinju's beautiful appearance and noble status. She was the goddess of South Korea and the #1 beauty. She was also the princess of the Li family and the palace master of the Tanjun Taoist palace. She could not compare to them. She hated everything. She hated everything in the world. She hated fate's tricks and arrangements. She loved her master more than Li Jinju. Why did Jiang Tian treat her master 10,000 times better than her? He might even slap himself in order to protect Li Jinju. Stupid girl, I'm comforting you. Why are you so rude to me? If it weren't for you, would my master be in danger in Japan alone? You are a jinx. Li Jinju wanted to comfort Tang Linglong. She even wanted to tell her the truth about Jiang Tian helping her to refine the blood pill that day. However, she did not expect her to be so ungrateful and even insulted her. She was angry and immediately retorted. She crossed her arms and said sarcastically, "Am I a witch? My master likes me to be gentle and sensible. He likes me to be young and beautiful. Unlike you, a simple-minded and violent girl. Even if you wait 10,000 years, my master will not like you." You're talking nonsense. If you have the guts, fight with me. Tang Linglong was so angry that she was trembling. She suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and supported herself against the wall. Li Jinju was shocked when she saw Tang Linglong vomiting blood. Before her master left, he said that he would chop anyone who dared to hurt Tang Linglong into pieces. If her master knew about this, he would not let her off. She took a step back and rolled her eyes. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm going to Japan to help my master. She boarded an off-road vehicle and sped away. Chapter 403. Li Jinju, don't go. Fight me if you have the guts. Tang Linglong shouted as she chased after the off-road vehicle. Linglong, haven't you caused enough trouble? Seeing this, Tang Hongtu felt a headache coming on. He scolded angrily, Grandmaster Jiang is in danger alone. When the time comes, he will have to face dozens of top Japanese experts. Do you still want to cause trouble and disturb his condition? Master. Tang Linglong was stunned for a moment. Then she squatted on the ground and burst into tears like a helpless child. It's good to be young. Yi Zhantian saw this and shook his head. He couldn't help but laugh. Beauty's favor was the hardest thing to bear. A beauty's love was long, but a hero's pride was short. Jiang Tian must have had a headache facing so many admirers. On a cruise ship, the Great East Asia, parked near Jeju Island. In a luxurious private room, the furnishings were elegant and the lights were bright. Ishi Yuren sat at the head of the table and listened to the reports of his subordinates. Our men have been hiding around the Tanjun Taoist Palace to keep an eye on Kong Teichu. However, 2 days ago, he suddenly disappeared. This subordinate was also an elite of the Yamaguchi Gumi. He was a jounin and was as powerful as a transcendent grandmaster or ethereal enlightenment cultivator in Huaxia. His ability to sense aura was amazing, and he was especially good at tracking, hiding, and assassination. Back then, he had successfully assassinated a drug lord who was competing with the Japanese Sakura Society in the drug market in Detroit, United States, under the protection of dozens of top bodyguards. He had escaped unscathed, and those bodyguards did not even see his shadow. But now, his face was pale and covered in cold sweat. He trembled as he reported, fearing that Ishi Yuren would kill him with one strike. After hearing the report, Ishi Yuren's face was so cold that a layer of frost could be scraped off. His eyes were filled with anger. Useless. You can't even do this well. Get out of here and break 3 of your fingers as punishment. Forget it, Mrs. Ishii. He's monitoring Kong Teichu. It's too easy for a deity realm expert like him to hide his tracks. Hattori Hanzo advised with a bitter smile. He was a god-level ninja, and his cultivation was comparable to that of the immortal state, but there was still some distance between him and the real immortal state. Even he had more than a dozen methods to evade surveillance and conceal himself. This Kong Teichu, whose name had shaken Huaxia, was probably not far behind. Alas, ever since Kong Teichu took down Lord Tan's faction, everything has gone wrong. Ishi Imperial Lotus sighed and waved his hand to signal his subordinates to retreat. Our Yamaguchi Gumi is a patriotic organization. In 2008, we successfully obstructed the Olympic torch relay in Japan. Every year, during the Jiaoyu Islands dispute, we will also ruthlessly attack those reckless fishermen from China, she said in a deep voice with a furious expression. But this time, before our ships could even make a move, the Great Mountain and a few other Japanese patrol ships were sunk by the enemy. More importantly, we have lost Kong Teichu's whereabouts. It's really a pity. So what should we do now? Nagaki Miyamoto said bitterly, the assassination attempt on Kong Teichu failed, and the fishermen did not arrive in time. If Lord Anpei knows about this, I'm afraid he will be very disappointed in us. Can you blame us for this? Hattori Hanzo smiled disdainfully and said, Kong Teichu is too cunning. I'm afraid he is afraid of us Japanese overlords, so he ran back to Huaxia. I think Master Anpei Jipping will also understand after he understands the situation. Did he run away? Kong Teichu is known as the only immortal state overlord in Huaxia. He may even be able to suppress Yi Zhantian. He is very strong, but compared to us Japanese overlords, he is still too weak. Ishi Imperial Lotus picked up the teacup and took a sip. She sneered disdainfully. She was not exaggerating. In recent history, Japan had repeatedly violated Huaxia and committed heinous crimes. They had always been suppressing Huaxia, and the two countries could be said to have a blood feud. Similarly, the martial arts world of the two countries had many conflicts. There were many bloody incidents, and they were called old enemies. In the late Qing dynasty, Sasaki Koshiro, the sword sage of Japan, once traveled across the ocean to Huaxia and challenged many Wudao grandmasters. He was invincible all the way. In the end, he forced the immortal state master who accompanied the Empress Dowager in the Forbidden City to intervene. However, the immortal state overlord still lost to Sasaki Koshiro. This battle was also known as the pinnacle of the 19th century. In the early years of the Republic of China, the Japanese Grand Onmyoji, Onpei star map, traveled to Huaxia and challenged many Taoist masters in Huaxia. With the art of yin-yang, he defeated the sect master of the Maoshan sect and killed Master Lei of the Celestial Master sect. It was said that many semi-hidden sects perfected cultivators had intervened, but they could not do anything to him. During the anti-Japanese war, the former sword sage of Japan, the sword god of Japan, and the top master of the Cherry Blossom Society, Miyamoto Geniki, once challenged many masters of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade on the 800-mile Chin Creek. He killed 3 martial arts grandmasters and a half-step immortal state overlord. Yen and was in a state of emergency, and in the end even Yi Tianren, the great ancestor of China, intervened. Although Huaxia was founded and the two countries had established diplomatic relations, the Japanese Cherry Blossom Society was still active in Huaxia, causing friction with the Huaxia martial arts community. However, even the long formation could not wipe them out. It could be said that for more than a century, the Japanese overlords rarely lost to the overlords of Huaxia. This made many overlords of Japan look down on Huaxia, thinking that Huaxia was invincible. In their view, no matter how powerful Kong Teichu was, he was just an immortal state overlord or half-step immortal state overlord. In Japan, there were more than a dozen immortal-level ninjas and kendo master Fan-Ru who were comparable to an immortal state warrior. There were also Shikigami who were far more powerful than an immortal state warrior. How could he not run away? The people of Huaxia are cowards, like a flock of sheep. They always like to run away. Hearing this, Nagaki Miyamoto gradually pulled himself together. He curled his lips, revealing deep wrinkles, and snorted disdainfully. They are good at guerrilla warfare, which is running away. The military operation known as the Long March was also a great escape that involved throwing away their helmets and armor. They just call it that to make it sound good. It seems that Kong Teichu is no different from those ugly Huaxia people. Yeah, I really overestimated him. Hattori Hanzo smiled contemptuously and nodded. But if you think about it carefully, no one from Huaxia has dared to challenge Japan in the past 100 years. His choice is understandable. He frowned and pondered. In fact, I even think that he is only half-step immortal state overlord, only slightly stronger than Xiao Bin of the Russian Winter Soldiers. I have never seen an immortal state overlord before the age of 30. Transcendent state overlords are rare. Maybe he used some secret method to disguise himself as an immortal state overlord. But if he doesn't come, we will lose a chance to show our strength. Ishi Yulian sighed regretfully. But at that moment, her satellite phone rang. She picked it up and said a few words. Her expression changed abruptly, and her jade-white hands trembled slightly. Ishi, what's wrong? Seeing that she hung up, Hattori Hanzo frowned and asked. The Great Mountain incident was caused by Kong Teichu. As soon as Ishi Yulian said this, everyone was shocked, but they also had a feeling of, I see. Yes, he had the guts to destroy several patrol ships and kill hundreds of people on the Senkaku Islands. How many people were there in Huaxia? Kong Teichu was probably the only one. Besides, after the mediation of Huaxia's Condor team, Kong Teichu was sent to Japan as a war criminal to be judged by the Japanese government. Ishi Yulian said with a complicated expression. Idiot, the Condor team is too cunning. Sending Kong Teichu here? This is a hot potato. For a moment, many Japanese overlords were cursing. After the Great Mountain Incident, the Japanese upper-class society, especially the military and political circles, were in an uproar and demanded an explanation from the Xia government. The Chen family of Yanjin was threatened and intimidated by many Japanese partners. Many Japanese consortiums said that they would terminate their cooperation with the Chen family. The Chen family immediately said that they would give Japan an explanation. And now, the explanation was here. However, an immortal state warrior was no ordinary person. He was as powerful as a nuclear bomb. If they didn't kill him, it would damage the country's prestige. Killing him was extremely difficult and dangerous. If this wasn't a hot potato, then what was? If this wasn't a trap, then what was? Are you afraid? Ishi Yulian smiled like a female Zhuge Liang who was confident of victory. He smiled and said, Kong Teichu has been tied up by the dragon-snaring lasso and drank the heart-burning tea of 5 poisons. He's just a piece of trash now. What? Dragon-snaring lasso? Isn't that the Dharma treasure of Nomiya Shrine? Heart-burning tea of 5 poisons. Why did we use it on him? Many of the Japanese experts present were overjoyed when they heard this. Their eyes shone with excitement. The dragon-snaring lasso was one of the top 10 Dharma artifacts in Japan. According to the legends, it was made by Abe Saimai, the founder of the Japanese yin-yang masters and the best yin-yang master in Japan. He had killed a dragon in Songshan Lake in Hokkaido and used the dragon's tendon to make it. The dragon was an ancient beast that had terrorized half of Hokkaido during the Heian era. It could swallow a village with its mouth and move mountains with its tail. Abe Saimai was no match for it back then. In the end, dozens of kendo grandmasters and immortal-level ninjas worked together to kill it. The power of the dragon-snaring lasso was extraordinary. It could swallow the blade chi of ninjas and kendo masters and turn them into energy for the dragon-snaring lasso to increase its durability. Once bound, no matter how powerful you were, you would still be captured and unable to escape. In fact, the stronger your cultivation base, the stronger the binding. Not even immortal state warriors could do anything about it. As for the 5 poison heart-burning tea, it was carefully refined by the ancestors of the Hujia school using bone-eroding vermilion frog, een snake, soul-breaking grass, red crown red, mercury water, and many other highly toxic substances. 1 drop of the tea could kill dozens of elephants. 1 pot could kill 100,000 people and turn a city into a wasteland. Chapter 404. If a human took it, their blood would burn like fire and their organs would turn into blood. Not even a transcendent grandmaster or an immortal state cultivator would be able to cure it. Both the dragon-snaring lasso and the 5 poison heart-burning tea were extremely powerful. Not even the great sword god of the Cherry Blossom Society would be able to stop them. The Chen family's business interests are all in Japan and they even have shares in the Mitsui Group. Chen Shuejiao is in charge of the Condor unit and she's one of us. Ishi Yuren cracked a smirk and said, she notified the Cherry Blossom Society as soon as she knew that Kong Teichu was involved. Mr. Ampere Yashihira spent a lot of effort to persuade the leaders of the Cherry Blossom Society to send the dragon-snaring lasso and the 5 poison heart-burning tea to Xia for Chen Shuejiao to kill Kong Teichu. As soon as he said that, the entire place was in an uproar. Many of the Japanese powerhouses present were celebrating, cheering, and beaming with joy. This is great. Even if Kong Teichu is an immortal state warrior, he won't be able to use any of his power under the effects of the dragon-snaring lasso and the 5 poison heart-burning tea. Wouldn't killing him be as easy as taking something out of your pocket? But Xia is an inferior race. How can there be a real immortal state warrior? He is at most half an immortal state warrior. Xia is just bluffing. I don't care what level he is at. He is dead for sure. I will give him a taste of my blade first. Hehe, Kong Teichu is so arrogant. He dares to go against us and destroy 6 battleships. However, he didn't know that the Condor team and our Japanese Cherry Blossom Society are working together. Now that there's a fire in his backyard, he has to take drastic measures. The many Japanese ninjas, kendo experts, and onmyojis who were originally quite wary of Jiang Tian instantly became excited. They rubbed their fists and were eager to give it a try. They were eager to kill Kong Teichu as if he was a fish on a chopping board. Chen Shuejiao is very efficient. We must give them more benefits. Hattori Hanzo nodded and smiled. Yes, Nomiya Shrine and the Japanese Cherry Blossom Society will have to support the Condor team in the future. If the Condor team can replace the Huaxiaolong formation, then we will have one less huge threat. We will be able to enter Huaxia as if there is no one there. Nagaki Miyamoto's eyes flashed with a chilling light as he nodded in agreement. Condor team, Dove faction. Huaxiaolong formation, Eagle faction. Of course, the Dove faction had the final say in an enemy country. Nomiya Shrine Ampere Kahesama's instructions are, Ishi Yulien said coldly, let our ships head south and meet Chen Shuejiao's ships on the high seas, and take over Kong Teichu. Her beautiful face was stern and her phoenix eyes were cold. She said word by word, to avoid any unexpected changes, execute Kong Teichu on the high seas. Kill Kong Teichu and raise the prestige of our country. Kill Kong Teichu and raise the prestige of our country. For a moment, the blood of many Japanese experts was boiling. They pulled out their katanas and shouted at the top of their lungs. The prestige of our country? The name of your Condor team's ship is really funny. When the helicopter flew to a ship, Jiang Tian saw a few big words on the hull of the ship and couldn't help but laugh. Qin Zongheng's face turned red, and then he said seriously, Master Kong, the Condor team has always regarded the Japanese Cherry Blossom Society as our mortal enemy, and we also want to kill them. However, everything needs to be done with strategy. Now is not the time to start a war with the Cherry Blossom Society. Wait until when? With your strategy, the so-called hiding your strength is meaningless. Jiang Tian sipped his tea calmly and sneered, you are improving your strength, but others are also improving their strength. This is a war of attrition, a protracted war. The best time to start a war was 10 years ago, 100 years ago. If we haven't started a war before, the best time to start a war is now. Even if we suffer heavy losses, we can't let them live peacefully. Even if we lose 800 of our own men, we have to injure 1,000 of our enemies. Look, the Cherry Blossom Society has been snatching cultivation resources in Huaxia for so many years. How deep is their foundation? And when did the Condor team go to Japan to snatch cultivation resources? Qin Zongheng's face froze, and he said anxiously, the Cherry Blossom Society has 4 major shrines and 12 shikigami. Most of these shikigami originated from the Heian era, and they have hundreds of years of history. They absorb the power of faith of the people every day and cultivate a huge amount of soul energy. They have unfathomable abilities, and even immortal state experts are no match for them. He asked in a hoarse voice, do you think you can kill them? Isn't it a hopeless situation for us to set foot in Japan? We have to conserve our energy. Oh, wait 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. Will these shikigami die? Jiang Tian sipped his tea and sneered, no, their soul energy will only grow stronger. You are a senior member of the Condor team, and you have a broad vision and experience. You should know that the competition in the cultivation world is actually a competition for cultivation resources. Then, you should be robbing and snatching, instead of hiding in China and wasting your resources. Don't think about splitting the cake, you should think about how to make it bigger. I can't explain it to you. Qin Zongheng's body trembled and his face paled after hearing what Chen Fan said. But he didn't say anything else. He just frowned and looked at the national prestige that was getting bigger and bigger outside the cabin. Jiang Tian didn't know that Qin Zongheng's heart was already in turmoil. Jiang Tian and Bai Diqing, the leader of the Condor team, had completely different views. It could be said that they ran in opposite directions. He felt that Jiang Tian's words were outrageous, but after thinking about it, Jiang Tian's point made a lot of sense. Is Lord Bai wrong? The moment this thought came to Qin Zongheng's mind, he was shocked. How could he have such thoughts? How could he question Lord Bai's authority? He was the most popular young master in Yanjin and the spiritual leader of many young masters. He was also the personal disciple of the sect leader of the Mount Shu Sword sect. He was only 32 years old, but he had already reached the peak of the transcendent state. Even Yi Zhantian wasn't as powerful and domineering as he was. In Qin Zongheng's mind, Bai Diqing was like a god. And yet, he started to doubt Bai Diqing's point of view just because of a few words from Jiang Tian. It was dangerous to think like that. He couldn't talk to Kong Teichu anymore. Master Kong, we need to tie your hands. Please cooperate. Chen Xuejiao took out a 10-meter-long silver rope from her backpack and said with a cold frown, "Is that necessary? Are you really treating me as a prisoner?" When Jiang Tian saw this rope, his heart skipped a beat as he spoke unhurriedly. "It's just a procedure. The other party also asked for it. Only by handing you over to the Japanese will the other party be satisfied and not make things difficult for Huaxia. I hope Master Kong will cooperate." Chen Xuejiao sneered arrogantly. She provoked Jiang Tian again. Master Kong is powerful and his martial arts are amazing. He can break steel with his hands and penetrate stone with his fingers. Are you afraid of a mere rope? Don't you dare mock me. This tea should be the heart-burning 5-poison tea. Of course, it might have other names. Jiang Tian swirled the teacup and said with a smile, but in short, it's made from bone-corroding vermilion toad, een snake, soul-breaking grass, crimson crown red lotus, and heart-piercing lotus, these 5 types of extremely poisonous plants, plus over 30 types of heavy metals, evil and filthy things, and after being steamed and dried for a long time, it can burn a martial artist's blood essence and burn their internal organs. Isn't this tea enough? You know that this tea is poisonous, yet you still drink it? Qin Zongheng and the other experts of the Condor team were instantly on guard. They looked at Jiang Tian, waiting for Jiang Tian to resist. Jiang Tian couldn't be bothered with them. He took another sip of the tea and said indifferently, "It's not bad." Chen Xuejiao's pretty face was deathly pale, but she gritted her teeth and approached with the rope. She smiled and said, "Grandmaster Jiang, please forgive us. Your cultivation is too high, and you have a violent and bloodthirsty personality. We really don't feel at ease." You're considerate." Jiang Tian smiled faintly and extended his hands cooperatively. He knew that Qin Zongheng could still be saved. Perhaps he was just bewitched by Bai Diqing. However, the interests of Chen Xuejiao's family were all in Japan, and they were closely related to the various financial groups in Japan. If it was in the past, they would be considered traitors and comprador lackeys. There was no way to convince them. "Master Kong, I'm sorry." Chen Xuejiao walked to Jiang Tian carefully and tied a knot on Jiang Tian's hands with the dragon-snaring rope. At this moment, something unexpected happened. The dragon-binding rope seemed to have a mind of its own. Like a spirit snake, it slithered around Jiang Tian's body, entangling his hands and feet. In an instant, Jiang Tian was completely tied up. "It's really a treasure." Chen Xuejiao took a step back subconsciously. Then she smiled calmly. "Kong Teichu, are you scared now?" This is called the dragon-snaring rope. It's made from the tendons of the ancient hornless dragon. It's really good." Jiang Tian also praised unhurriedly. Then he said disdainfully, "However, there's no Dharma treasure in this world that can tie up Kong Teichu." Seeing this, Chen Xuejiao sneered. "Kong Teichu, you're quite knowledgeable. But this dragon-snaring rope can even tie up an immortal state warrior. This time you're really dead. Let's see how long you can be arrogant. Even if I die, I'll be more honorable than you traitors." Jiang Tian sneered. Chen Xuejiao was so angry that she vomited blood. The helicopter landed on the Guowei. Jiang Tian was lifted up by them again. He got off the helicopter and sailed to the rendezvous point. On the way, Jiang Tian didn't talk to Qin Zongheng and Chen Xuejiao at all. He was locked in the small black cabin and no one brought him water or food. However, Jiang Tian didn't care. With his current cultivation, he could go without food for a few days without any problems. "Sai, hurry up and deliver. Once the paperwork is done, I'll be able to exonerate Linglong. Then I can go on a killing spree." Jiang Tian could hear Chen Xuejiao's smug laughter and conversation in the cabin not far away. He closed his eyes silently and a mocking smile appeared on his face. Chapter 405. Shuangqing Mansion, Fragrant Mountain, Yanjin. An old man in military attire was drinking tea and playing chess with a handsome young man in a moon-white gown. Di Cheng, you only come down once in 10 years, but you don't even come to see your Uncle Chow. I'm going to tell on you the next time I see the old man. As Chow Shixiang sipped his tea, he chuckled and said meaningfully. Next to them, Chow Jinjia was making tea for them. She looked at the top young master in Yanjing with admiration. The Chow family was a prestigious family and their biggest trump card was Chow Shixiang. They were one of the top 20 families in Huaxia. However, compared to the real top families, they were a lot weaker. The Bai family, which Beta Sheng belonged to, had produced many military and political leaders. Their disciples were all over Huaxia's military and political circles. They were known as the 3 great men in one family, 5 generals in 4 generations, and were one of the top 3 families in the secular world. Chow Jianjia, who was making tea clumsily, was annoyed. All this time, she had been engrossed in martial arts. She knew nothing about things like the way of tea or go. Today, in White Emperor City, she was clumsy and clumsy. She was like a peasant in front of spring snow, unable to get a word in. She had exposed her timidity. Lord Chow, I know you're busy and I was about to visit you, but you came first. Please forgive me. Bai Diqing was powerful and didn't seem to be any weaker than Lord Chow, who was a giant in the military. Chow Shixiang nodded and suddenly changed the topic. Diqing, about the Great Mountain incident, was it your idea or the Chen family's idea to send Jiang Taichu to Japan for punishment? I've just heard about it. It's mainly the Chen family's doing. Bai Diqing smiled and said, This Jiang Taichu has a good relationship with me, and he was once Zhan Long's martial arts chief consultant. He raised Zhan Long's overall combat strength to an unimaginable level. Furthermore, he killed Lin Zhenyu, Wang Chongyan, Xiao Bin, and other enemy experts. It can be said that he is a rare genius who has made great contributions to the army and the nation. Can you mediate a little? Chow Shixiang almost begged. Uncle, you know that although I'm the honorary leader of the Condor team, it's actually just a title given to me by the young masters in Yanjin. Now that something has happened, someone has to be responsible. I'm afraid I can't say anything. Bai Diqing shook his head. A glint of anger flashed in Chow Shixiang's eyes and he smiled. Di Cheng, who doesn't know that you're the young master of Yanjin? The patriarchs of the 7 dominant families will treat your advice as invaluable. He said with deep emotion, Kong Taichu might seem unscrupulous and simple, but he has never done anything harmful to Huaxia. Moreover, he's the imperial preceptor of Singapore and has a deep relationship with Lord Tan. Protecting him will be a great benefit to Huaxia's martial arts community and Huaxia's economy and society. Lord Chow, you think too highly of me. Firstly, I don't know how to help the people and have no position in the military or politics. Secondly, I'm not good at interpersonal relationships and have no business in the secular world. You can say that I'm a useless person who knows a little about martial arts. What Yanjin Crown Prince's spiritual leader? That's what other people used to make fun of me. Did you really believe it? Bai Diqing laughed out loud. Brat, don't play dumb with me. Chow Shixiang smiled helplessly and pointed at Bai Diqing. Then he said with emotion, Diqing, my idea is for you to inherit the long formation of the Martial Arts Alliance while Kong Taichu manages the Martial Arts Alliance. You two will work together to protect Huaxia. Believe me, if you protect him, he will become your right-hand man. Bai Diqing said seriously, Lord Chow, I understand that you love talents, but I think you don't have to worry. I know that Kong Taichu is very capable. He's known as the #1 Grandmaster on the Divine List. He has defeated Hong Tianzhao, Mo Haoxiong, Wei Shuofeng, Lin Zhenyu, Southeast Asia's Oyila, Master Qing Lian, Wang Chongyan of Singapore, Xiao Bin of Russia, and many other martial artists. His cultivation might have already stepped into the half-step divine realm. What kind of grace is this? What kind of talent is this? What kind of heaven-defying cultivation is this? He smiled slyly and said, Send him to Japan and shut the mouths of the Japanese officials. Maybe he can even defeat the Cherry Blossom Society and raise the prestige of our country. Isn't this killing two birds with one stone? I also know that you and Uncle Yi Zhantian of the Long Formation have been trying to make Hua Xia's martial arts world go international. Isn't this a good opportunity? Chao Shixiang sighed in his heart. He knew that he couldn't persuade Bai Diqing today. He smiled bitterly and got up. Well, let's wait for the good news together. Out of the Shuangqing villa, Yi Zhantian led the four great spirit generals and asked, Lord Chao, what does Lord Bai think? Chao Shixiang didn't answer directly. He spat on the ground and gritted his teeth. Bai Diqing, you are too narrow-minded and jealous. You are sending Kong Teichu to his death. Yi Zhantian's heart sank. He sighed and said, Lord Chao, are we really going to let Jiang Tian take the risk alone this time? There are several immortal state warriors in East Asia. More importantly, this is within the borders of Japan. If the Japanese self-defense forces are involved, Kong Teichu won't be able to come back alive. This time, Kong Teichu is really in danger. Black Tortoise said worriedly. Chao Shixiang frowned and sighed. How can Zhantian and I change the decision of the 7 great families? Yi Zhantian's face darkened and his eyes flashed. Suddenly, he got into a military off-road vehicle and waved his hand. Go to the airport. Zhantian, what are you doing? Chao Shixiang asked with a frown. I'm going to help Jiang Tian. The Long Formation is the Great Wall of Hua Xia's martial arts world. It is their responsibility to protect Hua Xia. We should fight side by side. Yi Zhantian said without turning his head. Sigh. Chao Shixiang wanted to say something, but he didn't stop him. He sighed and said, Yi Zhantian and his old friends are more patriotic than Bai Diqing. What a pity that Bai Diqing is so powerful. After a day and a night of sailing. That night, the mighty nation finally docked with Ishi Yuren's Great East Asia. Stars twinkled in the dark blue sky. The sea was calm and peaceful. Jiang Tian's face was covered with a black cloth and his body was bound by the dragon snaring rope. He was escorted to the deck of the Great East Asia like a prisoner. Ishi Yuren, Nagaki Miyamoto, Hanzo Hattori and dozens of other Japanese overlords were on standby. Even though Jiang Tian was like a prisoner, many Japanese overlords were still uneasy. Mrs. Ishii, Mr. Miyamoto, Mr. Hanzo Hattori, we finally meet. Chen Shuejiao walked forward gracefully, and every single move she made was elegant, decent, and charming. She shook hands with the other party's upper echelons and exchanged greetings. It was as if they were old friends. This is Kong Teichu. Please sign the acceptance document. Chen Shuejiao took out a document and asked Ishi Yuren to sign it. Ms. Chen, Hua Xia is a peace-loving nation. We would like to express our utmost respect for what you have done. Ishi Yuren smiled and picked up the pen. He signed his name and stamped it with his personal seal and the official seal of the Sakura Society Yamaguchi Operation Group. The handover ceremony was complete. A Japanese samurai stepped forward and lifted the black cloth on Jiang Tian's face. He laughed mockingly and said, Kid, aren't you arrogant? Didn't we capture him in the end? Ha! Idiot! Seeing this, Qin Zongheng suddenly felt a wave of sadness. His nose felt a little sour. He was the #1 expert in Hua Xia's martial arts world, but he was being disrespected and humiliated by a few Japanese. Don't be unreasonable. He shouted in Japanese, I hope you treat Master Kong Teichu well. Our country will also use diplomatic means to reach a fair and just solution with your country. Treat him well? He's already a prisoner, a lamb for us to slaughter. Moreover, he killed so many East Asians. Why should we treat him well? We will cut this devil into pieces today. Yes, we will also upload the video online and let everyone know the consequences of offending us Japanese. Inferior Shina pig. Inferior race. We should kill them all. Ha! The sick man of East Asia has always been an ant that we bully. Since he is an ant, he should have the self-awareness of an ant. Don't resist, just lie on the ground and die silently. But he dares to resist. Hearing Qin Zongheng's words, many Japanese samurai laughed as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. They laughed so hard that tears came out of their eyes. You have captured me? What a joke. Jiang Tian's cold gaze swept across the East Asian people as he smiled faintly and said, I am the one who captured you, right? Ishii Yulien, Miyamoto Nagaki, Hattori Hanzo. Very good, everyone from Nomiya Shrine is here. I was just about to look for you. What kind of taste does this kid have? Meeting Jiang Tian's cold eyes, Ishii Yulien, Miyamoto Nagaki, and Hattori Hanzo suddenly felt their hearts tighten. They had a bad feeling. They felt that they were the prey and Jiang Tian was the hunter who was going to kill them. But then they comforted themselves with the thought that no matter how powerful Jiang Tian was, he had already taken the heartburn tea and was bound tightly by the dragon-snaring lasso. Even if he was an immortal state warrior, he would be at the mercy of others. That warrior didn't realize the danger he was in. He pushed Jiang Tian's head a couple of times, and with a face full of disdain, he scolded in a loud and imposing voice. Idiot! What are you staring at? Behave yourself. Master Kong, do you think you are that great? Aren't you still subdued by us now? Kneel down obediently and let me cut off your neck. Is that so? You want to chop off my neck? Come on. Jiang Tian suddenly let out a hideous laugh as he pushed his arms forward. Bang, bang. A few muffled sounds. Under everyone's incredulous gaze, the dragon-snaring lasso created by Abe Saimai became thinner and thinner. In the end, after a few blinding flashes of golden light, the lasso broke and fell to the ground like a dead snake. Jiang Tian was like a demon god who had broken the shackles. He took a step forward and stood there majestically. His eyes were cold as thunder rumbled. Today, all the East Asians on this ship will die. Chapter 406. What? That's the dragon-snaring lasso. How did it break? The dragon-snaring lasso. It's said to be able to bind a dragon and an immortal state warrior. Does he still have cultivation? How is that possible? He has already taken the 5 poison heartburning tea. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they all cried out in shock. They subconsciously took a step back, their eyes filled with fear as they looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at a demon god. They weren't afraid of Jiang Tian who had taken the poison tea and was bound by the dragon-snaring lasso, but they were terrified of Kong Teichu. He was a peerless overlord who had killed Ingo and Anpei Qingkong. Even Ishii Yulien, Nagaki Miyamoto, and Hanzo Hattori were horrified, their faces full of shock. Ishii Yulien looked at Chen Shuejiao and said angrily, Miss Chen, please give me an explanation. What is going on? I have already fed him the medicine and tied him up with the dragon-snaring lasso as you requested. Chen Shuejiao, who was flaunting her prowess in front of Jiang Tian, was frightened by Ishii Yulien. Her face turned pale as she pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted, Kong Teichu, please cooperate with the Japanese officials. Don't resist, or you will have to bear the consequences. Chen Shuejiao, come back. We have finished the handover. What happens next has nothing to do with us. Qin Zongheng stepped forward and tried to pull Chen Shuejiao back, but failed. He was not happy with the Japanese, so he had no choice but to hand over Jiang Tian. He didn't want to be as submissive as Chen Shuejiao. Kong Teichu, surrender now. Don't forget that your family is still in Huaxia. Chen Shuejiao threatened. To our countrymen, they shout and kill, awe-inspiring. Bowing to the enemy is like meeting your own parents. Jiang Tian shot her a disdainful glance and said sarcastically, You guys have the nerve to call yourselves China's elites and youths. But you are a disgrace to Huaxia. You don't deserve to be called a descendant of the Yellow Emperor. You are the shame of Huaxia. So what if your cultivation is strong? No matter how much trouble you've brought to Huaxia, you naturally have to take responsibility for it. Chen Shuejiao's pretty face turned red, but she couldn't argue. She frowned and shouted, Jiang Tian, plead guilty immediately. Don't resist. Otherwise, I won't let the Jiang family off. I'll make sure that the dozens of people in your family die without a burial place. I know everything about you. Bitch, you dare to threaten me? For the first time, Jiang Tian's eyes became cold as he stared at Chen Shuejiao, his murderous aura soaring to the sky. It could be said that whether the Chen family was in cahoots with the Japanese conglomerates, or Chen Shuejiao betrayed her country for glory and became a traitorous lackey of the Japanese, Jiang Tian didn't have the intention to kill her. There were all kinds of birds in the forest. However, she dared to threaten his family and friends, which touched Jiang Tian's reverse scale. He absolutely couldn't tolerate it. Chen Shuejiao was so frightened by Jiang Tian that she subconsciously took a step back. But on second thought, what was there to be afraid of? She was the legitimate daughter of the Chen family. The Chen family's influence in Huaxia was ranked in the top few, and they had produced several officials of the border. Kang Taichu was so powerful that he dared to challenge the Chen family of Yanjing, unless he didn't want to stay in Huaxia anymore. Thinking of this, she became strong-willed. She straightened her neck and said proudly, "I'm threatening you. What can you do to me? Ha, do you dare to hit me? You are surrounded by enemies. You're about to die. You'd better behave and not cause trouble for your family. You're right. I won't hit you. But I will kill you." Before Jiang Tian's voice died away, he stretched out his hand and made a grabbing motion. Chen Shuejiao felt a strong and irresistible suction force coming at her. It was as if she had fallen into a black hole in the depths of the universe. Even if she used many secret techniques, she still couldn't break free. She flew uncontrollably in front of Jiang Tian. Her snow-white and slender neck was already grabbed by Jiang Tian's right hand, which was like a big iron clamp. Let go of me. I beg you." Chen Shuejiao's eyes were filled with terror. She was so scared that she wet her pants and made an extremely weak sound of begging for mercy. Jiang Tian's cold and ruthless eyes told her that all this was not a joke. It was not a bluff. Jiang Tian really dared to kill her. "Master Kang, stop. This woman, you can't kill her." Qin Zongheng was so scared that his face turned pale. He cried out and begged for mercy. "Even the heavenly king can't threaten me, let alone you. Go and die." Jiang Tian smiled ferociously as he exerted force in his hands. Only a crack could be heard. After a crisp sound, blood and broken bones splashed out from Chen Shuejiao's neck. Her head hung limply to the side. Her bloodshot eyes protruded out and blood flowed out of her orifices. She was already dead. What? He killed Chen Shuejiao? Many members of the Condor team were stunned. Even Qin Zongheng's forehead was covered with sweat. His face was pale and he was on the verge of collapsing. Chen Shuejiao. She was the daughter of the Chen family. The Chen family was one of the top families in Huaxia. In terms of identity and status, the four beauties of Yanjin, Chao Jinjia and Song Shuangyan were nothing compared to her. Be it the richest people on the Forbes list or the influential officials of the border, they all had to give her some face when they saw her. But now, Jiang Tian had killed him without any hesitation. It was as simple as killing a chicken. Jiang Tian looked calm. He linked his hands behind his back and his white outfit was spotless. He stood there like a god. He looked at the Japanese overlords with disdain and sneered. "Everyone from Nomiya Shrine, let's do it." For a moment, the entire place went silent. No one dared to answer. In an instant, Jiang Tian's body emitted a monstrous amount of pressure. It was like a raging wave slapping against the shore, pushing out in all directions. The three elites of Nomiya Shrine and many other Japanese overlords were so scared that they backed away a dozen meters. Jiang Tian then looked at Qin Zongheng and the others and said, "Qin Zongheng and everyone from the Condor team, if you want to help the Japanese, then let's do it together. I, Kang Taichu, don't mind accompanying you." Being stared at by Jiang Tian like that, Qin Zongheng felt like he was being looked down at by a god. He felt uneasy and a chill ran down his spine. This kind of terrifying energy and pressure was something that not even his master, the sect master of Diansong, could do, let alone the young grandmasters of Beidasheng. Qin Zongheng was secretly shocked, but fortunately he managed to keep a calm face. He bowed and said, "Master Kang, you must be joking. We are all descendants of Huaxia. Escorting you here is just a temporary measure. The Condor team's mission has been completed. What happens next has nothing to do with us. You're a smart man. Just do your job." Jiang Tian smiled faintly, then looked at the Japanese expert again and sneered, "What? Are you scared? If you're scared, then kneel and cut your own throat to apologize. Maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll leave your bodies intact." How arrogant. Kill him. We can't let him escape. We have more people. We don't need to be afraid of him. The 5-poison heart-burning tease effect should be triggered. He won't be able to use his cultivation soon. Many Japanese experts only reacted at this moment. They all shouted and roared loudly to boost their momentum and encourage themselves. Take this. A kendo master was not convinced. He pulled out his shiny katana and jumped up like a carp leaping over the dragon's gate. He held the hilt of his katana tightly and slashed it down. This slash was like an antelope hanging its horn. It was untraceable and natural. Everyone only saw a cold light. It was as if the cold light was shining on iron armor or the Milky Way falling from the sky. The Japanese overlords are indeed extraordinary. The Cherry Blossom Society is even more powerful. This slash is comparable to the Grandmasters of Huaxia. Seeing this, Qin Zongheng and the other members of the Condor team were shocked. The muscles at the corner of their eyes were twitching. Now, they agreed with Beidasheng's view again. The Japanese Cherry Blossom Society has a strong foundation and many overlords. They are far more powerful than the martial arts world of Huaxia. We should avoid them and bide our time. Useless. It's just an insignificant skill, yet you still have the nerve to bring it out and make a fool of yourself. Jiang Tian smiled and reached out his hand. Boom. Jiang Tian grabbed his katana. Under the surging strength, the peerless sword made by the Japanese swordsmith Akira Toriyama, which could cut through iron as if it were mud, actually shattered like paper. What? The sword Dao master was dumbfounded as he held the bare hilt of his sword and cried out in alarm. The scene before his eyes was too shocking and inconceivable. As one of the top 20 kendo masters in Japan, he was extremely powerful. With just one slash, the sharp blade aura alone could cut through huge rocks and vajra. The blade itself could even split open an armored vehicle. But now, the blade chi and sword techniques were useless in front of Jiang Tian. It was like an ant trying to shake a tree. Useless. How dare you use a sword? What a joke. Before the kendo master could react, Jiang Tian had already slapped him with his left hand. Face slapping. Jiang Tian's palm was like a high-speed train, smashing on his face with the force of a thunderbolt. Under such a terrifying force, the kendo master's head exploded like a watermelon. Red and white matter splattered everywhere. The headless body flew a dozen meters away, broke the metal side of the ship, and fell into the sea to feed the fish. What? He killed him with one slap. Is this the power of an immortal state warrior? Many Japanese were shocked and frightened. The kendo master. They were not ordinary people. Their strength was equivalent to the martial Dao grandmasters of Huaxia. Which one of them was not a terrifying existence? However, Jiang Tian had slapped him to death like a fly. The man in front of them was too terrifying. Even Nagaki Miyamoto and Hanzo Hattori felt uneasy. Their bodies tensed up and their eyes were filled with fear. Kong Teichu was too powerful. That slap didn't use any Dharma spells or martial art skills. It was purely physical strength. However, he was able to crush the head of a kendo master. Such strength was comparable to the immortal state warriors in Japan. This was too frightening. Chapter 407. Holy shit. Kong Teichu really lives up to his name. This is unbelievable. Many members of the Condor team found it hard to believe. They were deeply shocked and a little scared. This was because Jiang Tian didn't want to make things difficult for them and cooperated with them. If Jiang Tian wanted to escape, who would be able to stop him? He lives up to his name. I heard that Kong Teichu had already reached the immortal state. Now that I have seen it for myself, it is indeed true. Even Qin Zongheng looked at Chen Fan in awe. Although he was on Bai Diqing's side and was competing with Jiang Tian and Yi Zhantian, he had to admit that Jiang Tian was indeed a genius. At least in terms of cultivation, Jiang Tian could definitely crush him. Even by teaching of the Condor unit was a far cry from Jiang Tian. A trace of shock flashed across Ishi Yulian's charming face, and then he shouted in exasperation, "What are you afraid of? We Dongyang people are known for our fighting spirit. Our Yamaguchi-gumi upholds the spirit of the samurai. We are not afraid of death. Whoever can kill this monster will be rewarded with 20 pounds of gold. Whoever can make him bleed will be rewarded with 10 pounds of gold." One had to admit that money was a good thing. With such a great reward, there were bound to be brave men. Everyone present was originally a fugitive. Normally, they treated human lives like grass. Their heads were tied to the waist of their pants. They were truly ruthless people. Now that there was such a great reward, the fear in their hearts disappeared. It was replaced by a murderous aura and an unyielding fighting spirit. Kill! Together, many kendo masters, ninjas, and yin-yang masters used their ultimate skills and charged toward Jiang Tian like a tidal wave. Good, very good. You should have done this from the start. What a waste of time. Seeing 7 or 8 kendo masters charging at him, Jiang Tian smirked and waved his fingers. A Gung-Jin Chi weapon swept across the area. This Chi weapon was dazzling and golden, but it was actually extremely sharp. Its murderous aura was endless, as if it could wipe out all living things in the world. Swoosh! Walla walla! Wherever the Chi soldier passed, the steel katanas in the hands of the 8 kendo experts were sliced apart as if they were made of paper. After that, the Gung-Jin Chi weapon's momentum did not diminish, and they were all cut in half at the waist. Amidst the mournful cries, waves of blood surged and sprayed out, flowing together with the steaming hot internal organs on the ground. This was a bloody scene. With a wave of Jiang Tian's finger, 8 sword experts bore the brunt of the attack and all fell. The pungent smell of blood filled the air, and the deck was covered in blood, limbs, and organs. They didn't die immediately. Some of them crawled and screamed while dragging their innards, making this area look like a scene from hell. Oh my God, this person is simply a demon. Retreat! Retreat! The dozens of Japanese masters at the front stopped in their tracks. The blood on the ground was sticky and slippery, and a few of them slipped and fell on their butts. The people behind didn't see the situation clearly and rushed forward, trampling on the few who fell on the ground. For a moment, people were thrown off their horses, cursing, screaming, and screaming. It was a hilarious scene. For a moment, many people retreated, and Ishi Yulian shouted again and again. Threats and promises were useless. They were not afraid of death, but they were afraid of dying in such a horrible way. It was like Hua Xia's torture. Compared to this horrible torture, the reward of a few dozen pounds of gold was not worth mentioning. Mr. Hattori, Mr. Nagako, they are scared. What should we do? Ishi Yulian's face was serious, and his right hand was trembling slightly. No worries. I will use a secret technique to control them. Myoji replied in a deep voice and immediately made a few hand seals, activating a prearranged array. Swoosh, swoosh. Beams of yellow light shot up into the sky, and balls of yellow light filled the entire deck. Suddenly, the eyes of many Japanese rolled back, and then blood chi filled their eyes. They were like zombies and their bodies were stiff. They screamed and rushed toward Jiang Tian. Could the Japanese Onmyoji be so powerful that they can control souls? Seeing this, Jiang Tian was slightly surprised. Then he shook his head and smiled disdainfully. So it's the bloodline imprint technique. In the cultivation world, soul control technique was even more powerful than soul searching technique. Once one soul was controlled, they would become a walking corpse, a puppet completely under the control of others. They would feel no pain and they would not fear death. They would often become a terrifying suicide squad in battle. However, this yin-yang master didn't use the soul control technique of the cultivation world. Instead, he used the bloodlines of many powerhouses to refine the soul formation stone, forming a close connection between the yin-yang master, the soul formation stone, and the bloodline possessor. The Onmyoji activated the soul array stone and stimulated the fighting spirit of many Japanese, controlling their minds and making them fearless, bloodthirsty, and cruel. Although this method was very crude and required the use of external objects such as the soul array formation stone, and even the collection of fresh blood. After a long period of sacrificial refining and baptism, one could imprint certain thoughts and consciousness into the minds of these Japanese people. But the effect was shocking. These Japanese overlords had no fear, and they didn't even feel pain. They swarmed forward like walking corpses. Jiang Tian raised his eyebrows and took out Xiao Hei's flying sword for the first time. Xiao Hei's flying sword shot into the sky. A black light more than 10 meters long tore through the void. It was as if a long and narrow black hole had appeared in this space, and it had a strange charm that could absorb and annihilate everything. It was extremely breathtaking. Xiao Hei's flying sword slashed down. The wide sword aura of about 10 meters in length was like a flash of golden lightning, and it was also like the Milky Way falling from the sky. One slash could destroy everything in the world. One slash could kill all the people in the world. There was a boom. A terrifying sword mark more than a meter wide appeared on the deck made of special steel. More than 20 people were cut into pieces by the sharp Gung Jin sword aura. Their heads exploded and their chests collapsed. Some were even turned into meat paste. Seeing this, Ishi Yulian was shocked and couldn't believe it. This sword art is overbearing and murderous. It can cut mountains and rivers in half. It's far more powerful than the sword arts of Mount Shu, Dinsung, and Wu Dang. Many members of the Condor team were dumbfounded. Even Qin Zongheng felt a chill in his heart. If they stood in the position of the Japanese, there was only one word to describe the result: death. There was absolutely no chance of escape. Terrifying. His sword art is terrifying. Even the Sword Saint of Japan and the Sword God can't use such a terrifying attack. Nagaki Miyamoto was frightened and his face turned pale. He was a kendo master and knew very well. He knew how terrifying Jiang Tian was when he attacked Jiang Tian. What should we do? Ishi Yulian was anxious. If this continued, the overlords of the Yamaguchi-gumi and the Japanese would be wiped out by Jiang Tian in 3 slashes. The array has been activated. There's no way to stop it. Let's see if we can get lucky and exhaust this guy to death. The Onmyoji sighed with a complicated expression. Yes, 2 fists can't beat 4 hands. We have so many masters. Can't we kill him? Hattori Hanzo's sinister eyes stared at Jiang Tian, and used his fingers to signal the other ninjas to attack as well. Ishi Yulian was comforted by this and gradually calmed down. In her opinion, as long as she could kill Jiang Tian, it was worth sacrificing more overlords. The strength of this Huaxia youth was too terrifying and he was so young. Ishi Yulian couldn't imagine how powerful this person would become in 10 or 20 years. Kill. 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 Just as the Onmyoji said, even if the remaining people were heavily injured, even if they lost an arm or a leg, even if they were covered in blood, their eyes were still filled with murderous intent. They were like puppets that didn't feel any pain. In the midst of their screams, they charged towards Jiang Tian. Their katanas swung and slashed, creating afterimages as they tried to kill Jiang Tian. Very good. This is the first time I've had so much fun killing since I returned to this world. Ha! Seeing this, Jiang Tian muttered. With a thought, Xiao Hei's flying sword swept out. Boom! The golden Gung Jin Chi weapon was born. It was like a golden rainbow that swept across the void. The earth shook as it swept out. The terrifying golden light blinded many people's eyes and left many sword marks on the ground. Amidst the rolling waves of blood, the spurting blood arrows, and the spreading blood mist, some people were cut in half, some were decapitated, and some were smashed into meat paste by the surging monstrous power. The deck had become a hell on earth. This time, more than 30 masters had fallen. However, when Jiang Tian slashed out, it also gave some ninjas and Onmyoji who were good at long-range attacks a chance to attack. In the crowd, Fujiwara Mureo made a hand seal and the surging ninja on his body turned into a black python. It was about 17 to 18 meters long, and the bowl-sized scales on it looked like they were real. Just the part that was standing upright was about 5 to 6 meters tall. The snake's head was held high, and it opened its bloody mouth, trying to bite Jiang Tian. Although Fujiwara Mureo hasn't stepped into the level of shinobi, he is a poison ninja. Ninja is the most poisonous thing in the world. A drop of ninja can kill a grandmaster of Huaxia. Seeing this, even Hattori Hanzo nodded slightly. Nagaki Miyamoto also praised, "I didn't expect him to make so many poisonous ninjas to form a giant python. This move has the upper hand. I'm afraid that even a half-step immortal state warrior can't resist it." "You want to hurt me with just a little bit of poisonous gas?" Jiang Tian just smiled disdainfully and waved his hand. Jiang Tian's power was astounding. Kaboom! A surging golden chi wave swept out like a hurricane and blasted toward the black python with monstrous power. The deck within a radius of several hundred meters suddenly trembled like the skin of a drum. Wherever the airwaves passed, people and horses were thrown off their feet and wailed in agony. Many people were thrown back with blood spurting out of their mouths. Even their samurai swords were shattered. In the mournful cry, the black python crumbled like a piece of paper and turned into a stinky black wind that swept toward Fujiwara Mureo. How is this possible? Fujiwara Mureo was dumbfounded and even forgot to run or hide. The poisonous gas was condensed by powerful ninja and could not be penetrated by bullets or blown away by cannonballs. However, it was easily crushed by the young man's sleeve. He was the first to be hit and was wrapped in the black poisonous gas. He fell to the ground and died without even a scream. Chapter 408. Many Japanese overlords were also affected. Once they came into contact with a drop of the black chi, a deep hole would appear on their bodies. The hole continued to spread and their flesh turned into blood. In a blink of an eye, they had stopped struggling and turned into a pile of bones. In a blink, a dozen more people had fallen to the ground. Furthermore, the shockwave swept out in all directions. Even a helicopter weighing several tons in the distance slid several meters away. Even the many array stones of the soul array were destroyed. After the array that stimulated the battle will disappeared, the red in the eyes of the remaining Japanese overlords disappeared. Their divine souls returned to their original positions and their consciousness became clear again. When they saw the corpses and blood all over the ground, they all cried out in shock and retreated. They were scared witless. The scene was a mess. Blood and flesh were everywhere and bodies were piled up. The smell of blood and cruelty made everyone's heart beat faster. What? He is so powerful. Ishi Yulian's face was as pale as a sheet and her body trembled. She was terrified and felt her heart ache. What was frightening was that Jiang Tian's cultivation was too heaven-defying. Even the dragon-snaring lasso and the 5 poison heart-burning tea couldn't stop him, and his power didn't decrease at all. None of the kendo masters, Eri ninjas and Onmyoji could defeat him. What made her feel sad was that the Hujia clan ninjas and the kendo Nitten Ichiryu had suffered heavy casualties, but the Yamaguchi-gumi had suffered the most. Dozens of top fighters had died, which was the most serious defeat the Yamaguchi-gumi had suffered since its formation. After this battle, the Yamaguchi-gumi had lost all its elites and would only be a third-rate gang. Compared to the Italian mafia, the Big Circle, and the Mexican Holy Church, there was a difference. The number 1 Grandmaster in Huaxia and the 3rd Overlord on the Dark Roll is indeed powerful. Very well. I will use the Nitten Ichiryu's kendo to challenge you. Let's see who is more powerful. At this time, Nagara Miyamoto's eyes flickered as he approached Jiang Tian step by step. His voice was filled with murderous intent. Master Miyamoto is finally going to attack. Master Miyamoto, please kill this bastard. Everyone present cried out in surprise and knelt down. Their faces were filled with excitement and shock as if they were worshipping a god. Even Ishi Yulian and Hattori Hanzo looked excited and expectant, unable to maintain their calm. Nagara Miyamoto, the current master of Nitten Ryu, was a kendo grand teacher. Nitten Ryu was a very powerful school in Japan. It was known for its offense, and it even surpassed the North Star One-Blade School. As the sect master and a sword Dao grand teacher, he was second only to the sword saint and sword god in the world of Japanese kendo. His power was comparable to a half-immortal state warrior or even an immortal state warrior. If the martial arts world of Huaxia were to be compared, the masters of martial arts families such as Hong Tianzhao, Wei Shuofeng and Mo Haoxiong, who lived in the secular world, would be slightly inferior. Perhaps only the elite disciples of semi-hidden sects such as Diansong and Wudong could be on par with them. Nagaki Miyamoto's footsteps were very steady. Step by step he walked into the field. His figure was as majestic as a mountain, incomparably dignified, as if no one could shake him. However, the murderous intent in his eyes made him look like a peerless sword that had been unsheathed. He is Nagaki Miyamoto? He is a master. I am afraid that he is on par with the elite disciples of some sects in Huaxia. Qin Zongheng's face paled. Even though Nagaki Miyamoto hadn't made a move yet, he and the other overlords of the Condor team could feel the overwhelming pressure. The bones in their bodies creaked as if their chests were going to collapse in the next moment. They couldn't help but retreat more than 10 meters away. Nitten Ryu? You are just a piece of garbage. I will let you know that you Japanese don't deserve to use a sword. However, Jiang Tian was still calm. He looked at Nagaki Miyamoto with disdain as if he were a 3-year-old kid who dared to provoke a brawny man. Kong Taechu, you are too arrogant. You don't know the power of Japanese kendo. Nagaki Miyamoto was enraged by Chen Fan's words. Bang! The deck shook violently and a deep footprint was left behind on the deck. His body was as agile as a dragon as he climbed to a height of 10 meters. Then he drew out his katana and slashed downward. Nitten Ryu, moon set, crows cry and frost fill the sky. He slashed with the blade. A bright moon formed from sword chi suddenly appeared in the heavens and the earth, and it was like an enormous silver plate. It was cold, gloomy, and emanated a silver radiance. Strange phenomena appeared one after another, giving one the feeling of a bright moon rising above the sea. Every ray of light seemed peaceful, neither warm nor fiery. However, they were all filled with extreme killing intent. They could pierce through the body of a transcendent state overlord and crush a tank. The moon-shaped sword chi spun and slashed towards Jiang Tian. Wherever it passed, the air billowed, and a 1-meter-wide sword mark silently appeared on the deck. It was a ghastly sight. You guys like to copy Huaxia's martial arts. I didn't expect that you would use Huaxia's Tang Dynasty poems as well. Jiang Tian's face was full of disdain. The little black flying sword floating in front of his chest let out a sad cry and kept buzzing. Soon after, it broke through the air and flew out. The little black flying sword was unbelievably fast. It was beyond the limit of human eyes. With a shrill and ear-piercing sword whistle, it easily pierced through the full moon of sword energy with a ripping sound. Boom! The crescent-shaped sword chi exploded like a grenade, causing the deck to crack and leave behind terrifying holes. A few Japanese experts nearby were pierced by the shards. Blood gushed out as they lost their lives. What? Nagaki Miyamoto was shocked. He had never thought that Jiang Tian would be able to break his falling moon form so easily. But in the next moment, a black bolt of lightning appeared in his eyes, and it suddenly became bigger. The little black flying sword actually didn't lose its momentum and continued to slash at him. Block it! Nagaki Miyamoto roared and swung the katana Orochimu in his right hand. At the same time, his left hand grabbed at the air and pulled 8 wind blades in front of his chest. He wanted to block Jiang Tian's sword. But how could Jiang Tian's flying sword be so easy to block? Bang! With a loud bang, Orochimaru and the 8 wind blades, which were created by the Japanese master refiner, shattered in an instant. Nagaki Miyamoto flew more than 10 meters away like a scarecrow and crashed into the cabin. He hung there for 10 seconds before rolling down. Even Nagaki Miyamoto is no match for him? Ishii Yulien was shocked and couldn't believe it. His scalp was numb and his chest was heaving violently. Even Hattori Hanzo was slightly moved and his body was tense. He decided to make a move. He was afraid that Nagaki Miyamoto alone was no match for this Huaxia boy. The Nitten first-rate kendo masters were stunned. This was the master of the Nitten first-rate kendo, the great teacher of kendo. His sword moves, sword momentum, sword intent, and sword chi had all reached the level of perfection. One sword move could destroy the world, and one sword move could overlook all living things. However, his most powerful move had been broken by this Huaxia boy. It took them a full minute to remember to help Nagaki Miyamoto up, but Nagaki Miyamoto shook them off. Angry. Nagaki Miyamoto was really angry. In fact, among the 4 major shrines under the Sakura Kai, Nomiya Shrine was the most active in Huaxia. Nagaki Miyamoto, on the other hand, had entered Huaxia many times to plunder cultivation resources and assassinate politicians and rich people. Whether it was martial arts grandmasters or spell masters, he had killed more than 10 of them. When had he ever suffered such a big loss? But at this time, his clogs were gone. He was barefoot, his white kendo suit was dirty, and his long hair was disheveled. He looked very embarrassed. He was like a beggar on the street. Where was the demeanor of the top 5 kendo great teacher in Japan? Bakayaro! Nagaki Miyamoto crawled to his feet and gnashed his teeth in anger. The look in his eyes was as if he wanted to skin Jiang Tian alive. You are very good. You can block my little black sword. So far, except for Wang Chongyan, you are the only one. Jiang Tian was praising, but his tone was infuriating. It seemed that Nagaki Miyamoto should have been killed by Jiang Tian's sword. He was surprised that he could block the attack. You are too arrogant. Do you think your Huaxia martial Dao is a match for my supreme Japanese kendo Nitten Ichiryu? Nagaki Miyamoto shouted and then clenched his hands in the air. A powerful bloodline aura spread out from his body and formed a 10-meter-long giant red blade aura between his fingers and palms. Sensei is going to use his ultimate skill. Seeing this, Nagaki Miyamoto's disciples exclaimed. Ultimate skill? A Japanese master next to them was puzzled. Nitten Ichiryu, profound meaning, sacrifice. Nagaki Miyamoto's disciples were shocked and said word by word. Yes, Miyamoto used his life's blood essence to condense the blade chi, which instantly increased his combat strength by 10 times, reaching the attack power of a real half-step into the divine realm. However, this is a way to deal damage to the enemy at the expense of oneself. His physique and lifespan will also be severely damaged. Hattori Hanzo's face was extremely solemn. It could be said that his old friend Nagaki Miyamoto was going all out in order to kill Kong Teichu. The blood-red wind blade crossed the sky and became more and more condensed and pure. Nagaki Miyamoto's face instantly turned as pale as paper, and his body trembled violently. Blade of sacrifice, /. He took a deep breath, exhaled, and let out a thunderous roar. Holding the blood-red saber in his hand, he abruptly slashed down. The dazzling saber light crushed the void and cut through the air. It was like a blood-red lightning striking down from the sky. This blood-red blade was like a rainbow piercing through the sun. It seemed like even a mountain would be flattened by this blade. This blade of sacrifice was extremely sharp and it was condensed from his life's cultivation. Nagaki Miyamoto was confident that even if a tank was here, he could split it in half. No matter how strong Jiang Tian was, he was just flesh and blood. How could he resist? It's over. Kong Teichu is in danger. This blade is so powerful that even Yi Zhantian would have a hard time dealing with it. Maybe those reclusive old monsters in Dian Song and Wu Dang sect might be able to resist it. Many members of the Condor team were worried about Jiang Tian. Even Qin Zongheng's face changed dramatically and he exclaimed. Chapter 409. Originally, they were all friends and subordinates of White Emperor City. They had always been disgusted with Jiang Tian, who rose from the Jianghu but was able to suppress White Emperor City. But at this time, they unconsciously stood on Jiang Tian's side. Perhaps, in their subconsciousness, they also dreamed of conquering Japan and spreading the prestige of their country. And Jiang Tian's killing made them very happy. Nitten Ichiryu only has this crude blood coagulation technique. Do you think you can suppress Huaxia's martial arts? What a fool. In response, Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully. He stepped forward, stretched out his white hand, and pinched the extremely sharp blood-red blade aura. The blade aura froze in the air as if it had fallen into a boulder and could no longer move forward. What? Nagaki Miyamoto's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't believe it and was so shocked that he almost fell to the ground. The sacrificial blood coagulation blade was the strongest move that he had comprehended in recent years after racking his brains. However, Jiang Tian managed to block the attack with just his bare hands? This was beyond his understanding. It was too incredible. I'll show you what real martial arts is. Jiang Tian shook his arm and the sacrificing blade instantly shattered like a piece of paper. His blood and chi were scattered all over the place. Run! Seeing this, Nagaki Miyamoto was scared out of his wits. This was the only thought in his mind. Only now did he realize that Jiang Tian's strength was too terrible, far beyond his imagination. Maybe the god of sword or several divine priests of Japan could suppress him, but he was definitely no match for him. He didn't say a word and didn't even turn around. He stomped his feet on the ground and shot toward a helicopter like a big bird. Hee. It's a bit too late for you to think of running away now. Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully. He had a thought. The little black flying sword floating in front of him shot toward Nagaki Miyamoto like a cruise missile with a burst of explosive sound. Shield of Endurance, block it for me. At this moment, Hattori Hanzo, who was already prepared, finally made his move. Both of his hands formed hand seals, and with a wave of his left hand, he formed a seal in the void. A ninja shield with a radius of 3 meters condensed in front of Xiao Hei's flying sword, trying to block the attack for Nagaki Miyamoto. At the same time, with a wave of his right hand, more than a dozen ninja darts and wind blades like a long dragon swept towards Jiang Tian. Kill him. It's time to end this. At this moment, Ishi Yulian also made his move. Both of his hands tightly gripped the hilt of the katana hanging on his waist, and quickly approached Jiang Tian with small steps. A cold light flashed as the saber was unsheathed. A saber light that was more than 5 meters long slashed towards Jiang Tian like mercury. Nagaki Miyamoto attracted Jiang Tian's firepower, while Hattori Hanzo and Ishi Yurin used their unique skills. It was equivalent to the 3 masters of Nomiya Shrine attacking together. The lineup was super luxurious, and for a moment the battlefield was surrounded by danger. Even if the Russian Grandmaster Qiaobin was here, he would have to be careful and try his best to deal with it. Humph! Ants will always be ants. Could it be that 3 ants can bite off a single strand of my hair? Jiang Tian shook his head slightly in disdain. The 3 of them worked together with a tacit understanding and amazing lethality. Perhaps Hua Xia martial Dao grandmasters like Huqin Tian and Wei Feilong would have to retreat. But for Jiang Tian, who had cultivated the Gingjin divine body and broke through to the 5th level of Qi refining stage, they were just ants that he could kill with a raise of his hand. Under the urging of divine sense, Xiao Hei's flying sword broke through the speed of sound and pierced through the shield with a bang. Even if Nagaki Miyamoto continuously changed his figure and trajectory, Xiao Hei's flying sword was still firmly locked on him. In just a blink of an eye, Xiao Hei's flying sword pierced through Nagaki Miyamoto's chest with blood and viscera fragments. Nagaki Miyamoto didn't even make a sound and fell to the deck. He clutched his chest and died. Nagaki Miyamoto, the first master of the Nitin Ryu sect and the great teacher of Japanese kendo, was dead. At this moment, Hattori Hanzo's ninja wind blade and hidden weapon had already arrived in front of Jiang Tian. They were less than a meter away, but suddenly, a black bolt of lightning shot out from Jiang Tian's fingers. Bang bang bang. There was a series of explosions like a string of firecrackers. Many wind blades and hidden weapons were turned into fragments and wreckage. In less than a second, all of them exploded and shattered. The black lightning burst out and in the blink of an eye, it was in front of Hattori Hanzo. What is this? Hattori Hanzo's eyes were filled with horror. He didn't see Jiang Tian's other weapons at all. At this time, he didn't see what the black lightning was. But the only thing he knew was that the threat of death was close at hand. In a hurry, he pushed his endurance to the limit and grabbed at the air in panic. He pulled out a shield from the void and blocked in front of him. At the same time, he retreated quickly. But how could his shield of enduring withstand the power of the black iron shuttle? This was the relic of the demon immortal battle Saint Ape. It was made of Gingjin Mother Iron, and after Jiang Tian's sacrificial refining, it had powerful magical power. The shield didn't even last for a second before it shattered. The black iron shuttle pierced through his chest, bringing his body up into the air and nailing him to the cabin. The exposed tail of the shuttle was still trembling slightly, and blood flowed out along the cabin wall. The second master, Heiga Ryu Ninja, Hattori Hanzo, God-level ninja, Hattori Hanzo, was dead. At this time, Ishii Yurin's incomparably violent blade also arrived. Jiang Tian waved his hand and sneered, "Courting death." A surging golden airflow pushed out like an 18-level tsunami. Under this unstoppable force, Ishii Yulian's blade aura crumbled like a piece of paper. Her body flew more than 10 meters away like a kite in the wind. She spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, motionless. No one knew whether she was dead or alive. This was as fast as lightning. Jiang Tian used less than 3 seconds. Even the 3 masters of Zenomiya Shrine were stunned. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Master Kong won. A member of the Condor team gulped. His face was full of disbelief. These were the 3 masters of Zenomiya Shrine. In the whole of Japan, they could be ranked in the top 10. Even if Yi Zhantian were to face the 3 of them together, he would have a hard time dealing with them. However, Jiang Tian had only used 3 seconds to kill 3 of them. Moreover, he had done it so effortlessly. What kind of power was that? What kind of power was that? What kind of power was that? What kind of talent was that? Qin Zongheng said with difficulty. He looked at Jiang Tian with a complicated expression. Before this, he was jealous of Jiang Tian. After all, he was an elite disciple of the semi-hidden Wu Dang sect. He even had the ambition to compete with Jiang Tian and make a name for himself in the martial arts world by defeating Jiang Tian. But after seeing Jiang Tian's terrifying strength, he didn't even have the courage to be jealous. That lofty aspiration to challenge Jiang Tian had long since fallen to the ground and shattered into pieces, unable to be picked up again. Everyone, your mission is complete. Let's go home. Jiang Tian turned to Qin Zongheng and said lightly, "Yes, Master Kong. Your next mission has nothing to do with the Condor team anymore." Qin Zongheng bowed respectfully and cupped his fists. His body couldn't stop trembling slightly. The other members of the Condor team also lowered their heads to show their respect to Jiang Tian. They had to show their goodwill to Jiang Tian because Jiang Tian had killed Chen Xuejiao, which meant that he was an enemy of the Condor team. If they didn't show their goodwill, Jiang Tian might kill them as well to eliminate all future troubles. Go. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. He couldn't be bothered to kill Qin Zongheng and the others. They were just a bunch of ants. Master Kong, don't worry. Qin Zongheng looked fearful. He quickly added, Chen Xuejiao died in the battle between you and the Japanese. She was accidentally killed by the Japanese. I will report the truth. The other members of the Condor team nodded in agreement. Jiang Tian was slightly stunned when he saw this. After that, he smiled in a carefree manner and said, "Although I am not afraid of the White Emperor City, you have avoided some unnecessary trouble by dealing with it like this. Very good, you're very smart. Master Kong, you flatter me." Qin Zongheng let out a long sigh. He bowed respectfully again. "I didn't recognize your face and offended you with my words. Please forgive me, Master Kong." "No problem." Jiang Tian waved his hand. Qin Zongheng and the others quickly took Chen Xuejiao's body, exited the Great East Asia, and boarded the Guowei. On the Guowei, Qin Zongheng's face was grave. He thought about what to say, and finally used the satellite phone to report the situation to Beidasheng. Of course, he did cover up Chen Xuejiao's death for Jiang Tian as he said. Beidasheng's reaction was very calm. Qin Zongheng did not know what Beidasheng was thinking. Beidasheng's thoughts had always been hard to grasp. After hanging up the phone, Qin Zongheng sat there and looked at the monotonous sea view outside the porthole. He was in a daze for a long time. "Young Master Qin, young Master Beidasheng wants you to report back to the Condor team headquarters in Beijing." A team member knocked on the door and entered. "I'm not going back," Qin Zongheng said calmly. "Young Master Qin, what did you say?" The team member was shocked and could not believe his ears. Qin Zongheng was a die-hard fan of Beidasheng. He had always obeyed him. Was he going to defy him? Help me pass on a message. I'm not going back to Beijing for the time being. I'm going to Wudong Mountain for seclusion. Qin Zongheng sighed dejectedly. After this mission, he finally understood the huge gap between him and a true overlord. He suddenly felt that the goals and blueprints that White Emperor City had created, which had once made his blood boil, were tasteless when compared to Jiang Tian's heaven-defying cultivation. He might be able to reach 1/10 of Kong Teichu's combat power after 8 to 10 years of seclusion. Chapter 410. In fact, Jiang Tian had left some leeway, so Ishi Yulian was only unconscious for 10 minutes. When she woke up, she immediately crawled on the ground and kowtowed to Jiang Tian. Master Kong, Ishi Yulian surrenders, please spare my life. I am willing to follow Master Kong for the rest of my life. I will not hesitate to go through fire and water. Her heart was filled with shock and fear. Even if Nagaki Miyamoto, Hanzo Hattori, and herself, the three masters of Nomiya Shrine, attacked Kong Teichu together, he killed them with a wave of his hand. This kind of strength was too terrifying. He had obviously shown mercy just now. It was just a wave of his sleeve. If he had used his full strength, how could he still be alive? Most likely, he would have already been beaten to a pulp. Thinking of this, Ishi Yulian's heart skipped a beat. She lowered her head even more, and her forehead touched the deck. Do you know why I didn't kill you? Jiang Tian stood with his hands behind his back, bathed in the starlight, facing the sea breeze, his clothes fluttering. In the eyes of many Japanese masters, he was like an immortal. Ishi doesn't dare to guess Master Kang's intentions. The Queen of Japan's underground world couldn't help but tremble violently. She lowered her head, not daring to meet Jiang Tian's eyes. Although I am unrestrained and invincible in my life, I am not willing to endanger my country and harm the interests of the country and people. I will take responsibility for the Great Mountain incident. Jiang Tian's eyes flashed with a trace of darkness and said lightly, let the Japanese government admit and announce to the world that I have been handed over to Japan and have been executed. This incident has nothing to do with Hua Xia. Don't worry, I can definitely do it. Ishi Yulian was surprised and surprised. In her opinion, an expert like Jiang Tian was like a god, detached from the world. Countries and people should be very illusory concepts in his mind. She didn't expect him to still care about Hua Xia's interests at this level. Go and do it. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and walked into a cabin. He sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. Ishi Mitsuhika immediately contacted the upper echelons of Nomiya Shrine and the Sakura Kai. According to the report, Kong Teichu has been handed over and successfully killed, but unfortunately, Nagaki Miyamoto and Hanzo Hattori died in the battle. The Japanese upper-class society rejoiced when they received the news. The royal family, the Sakura Society, many shrines, high-ranking military and political officials, and tycoons were celebrating. Kong Teichu, the number 1 Grandmaster on Hua Xia's divine ranking list, the number 3 on the world's dark ranking list, the number 1 man on the divine ranking list, the number 3 man on the world's dark ranking list, the number 1 man on the divine ranking list, the number 1 man on the world's dark ranking list, the number 1 man on the dark ranking list, the number 1 man on the dark ranking list, the number 1 man on the dark ranking list, the number 1 man on the dark ranking list, the number 1 man on the dark ranking list. How domineering was that? It can be said that in Hua Xia, Southeast Asia, South Korea, Japan, and the whole of East Asia, they can be considered top-notch experts. But now, they had finally been eliminated by the Japanese martial arts world. This was a great boost to their country's prestige. The upper echelons of the Sakura Society issued an order to Ishi Yurin. Yamaguchi-gumi was responsible for bringing Kong Teichu's body back to Japan and handing it over to Nomiya Shrine. Next, the top scientific teams of Tokyo University, Waseda University, and Imperial University will conduct cutting-edge research on him. It can be said that in the Japanese cultivation world, Kong Teichu is very mysterious and powerful. He is like a sophisticated weapon, and many teams are studying him. Many people thought that Kang Tae-chu is a Superman who achieved human evolution due to genetic mutation. Now, Kang Tae-chu is cut into pieces and studied carefully. The Japanese Prime Minister immediately held a press conference on TV and announced that the Great Mountain incident had been handled appropriately. This incident was the personal action of a citizen of Hwaseong with the surname Jiang. It had nothing to do with the Hwaseong government. And this citizen had been sent to Japan with the cooperation of the Hwaseong government. Unfortunately, this citizen jumped into the sea to escape punishment during the deportation process and unfortunately drowned. In the eyes of the secular world, this news was just a small territorial dispute. When they finished reading the news, they quickly forgot about it. But in the dark world, the news was like a stone that stirred up 1,000 waves. The world was in an uproar. Many people couldn't believe it, and the dark net was boiling. Immortal State Warrior, a giant of a generation, Kang Tae-chu has fallen. On the Darknet forum, the title of this news was bolded and read, and it was pinned by the administrator, shocking many people. What? Kang Tae-chu has fallen? Where did the news come from? Since the battle with Russia's Qiao Bin at Moling Lake in Jinling, there has been no news of Kang Tae-chu for 3 months. Someone asked in shock. Yeah? How could Kang Tae-chu have fallen? He has never been defeated since his debut. An expert couldn't believe it. According to the news I received, the Great Mountain incident was Kang Tae-chu's doing. The Japanese Maritime Security Agency lost a few patrol ships and hundreds of people were killed or injured. They asked the Hwaseong officials for an explanation. In the end, the Hwaseong Condor Group handed Kang Tae-chu to the Japanese Nomiya Shrine. In the end, many experts besieged Kang Tae-chu on Nomiya Shrine's Great Dongya and assassinated him. Someone who knew the inside story explained. Who can kill Kang Tae-chu? He is a half-step immortal state warrior. Some people were unwilling to accept it emotionally. Do you think the Japanese overlords are useless? In the Nomiya Shrine, Hattori Hanzo is an immortal-level ninja, Nagaki Miyamoto is a kendo grand teacher, and the leader of the Yamaguchi-gumi, Ishiyurin. They all have the strength of an immortal state warrior. They attacked Kang Tae-chu together and had the home advantage. How many nails can Kang Tae-chu crush? An overlord analyzed. The forum was silent. For a full 3 minutes, there was no movement at all. Many overlords and tycoons had different feelings. They were surprised, shocked, regretful, fearful, gloating, and all kinds of emotions. There were many people who felt regretful and regretful. At the beginning of modern times, science and technology were booming and in the ascendant. Guns, cannons, missiles, and other firearms emerged and became popular. The cultivation world gradually fell into a disadvantage. Ordinary martial arts grandmasters could walk on water and hurt people from a distance. So what if they could form chi righteousness and block the shot of small caliber firearms? An ordinary person with no cultivation could kill an experienced martial arts grandmaster with a sniper rifle equipped with armor-piercing bullets and incendiary bullets from a few kilometers away. It took a lot of effort and countless resources to train a martial arts grandmaster. How expensive was the price? However, a sniper rifle could be bought on the black market for less than 10,000 yuan. Compared to that, what was the point of cultivation? In particular, the appearance of nuclear weapons with destructive power had shocked many cultivators, causing them to tremble in fear. They either kept a low profile and did not dare to stir up trouble again, or they chose to cooperate with the government and become the thugs and killing gods of the superpowers governments. However, Kang Tae-chu's rise in recent years gave people a glimmer of hope. This overlord might be qualified to challenge the superpowers in the world. After all, he had even taken over the Chinese society of Qing State and forced the Prime Minister of Qing State to submit. Moreover, there was a secret rumor that Kang Tae-chu had taken control of the South Korean Tanjun faction and made the South Korean government worship him. At this rate, Kang Tae-chu might have the strength to challenge the superpowers in 20 years. When that time came, the dark overlords around the world would rise again. But now, Kang Tae-chu was dead. Their last glimmer of hope had been destroyed. How could they not sigh? How could they not feel heavy-hearted? Tonight, the giants fell, the stars fell, and the twilight of the gods descended. This is a sleepless night for the entire dark world. Someone sighed with emotion. However, the leader of the Tombstone organization suddenly said, Kong Taechu deserved it. He was too arrogant after all. How dare he provoke Japan? Even immortal state warriors do not have the strength to challenge the superpowers in the world. After all, how many immortal state warriors do all the superpowers in the world live in seclusion? I didn't expect Kong Taechu to die before he encountered a large-scale thermal weapon. This is so satisfying. The leader of the butterfly skeleton also happily posted, the Condor team, Nomiya Shrine, and the Sakura Society have done a good job. Arrogant people like Jiang Taichu who have swept across the world should be suppressed in blood. Now, can we go to Huaxia and wipe out Kong Taechu's remaining forces? Without Kong Taechu, Huaxia is like entering and exiting a no-man's land. What a vast market this is. The spokesperson of the blood totem said, no matter how you look at it, the blood totem has always been an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. We are ready to take action. 18 Duke-level blood guards have already gone straight to Huaxia and will carry out a bloody massacre on Kong Taechu's remaining forces. It is said that Kong Taechu has a Heaven Alliance organization in Huaxia. It is said that it is composed of transcendent masters. However, without Kong Taechu, the Heaven Alliance is like a toothless tiger, weak as hell. In the beginning, there were people who refuted these remarks. After all, Kong Taechu was a powerhouse in the Dark World, an outstanding representative, and the first Dark World powerhouse in recent years to obtain a respected status in the light of the sun. No one should kick him when he is down. However, a sentence from the North American Sky Eye assassin organization ignited everyone's greed. Since the rise of Kong Taechu, he has been pillaging Huaxia, Singapore, and South Korea. Do you know how many heavenly materials and earthly treasures he has? A few kilograms of gold was enough to make people lose their minds and kill for money, not to mention the cultivation resources that were even more precious than gold. For a moment, many overlords were tempted. They should at least go to Huaxia to take a look and fish in troubled waters. Who knows, they might be able to get something out of it. Big Circle, on the other hand, took action upon hearing the news. They no longer issued hidden bounties, but openly issued open bounties. In a secret base on Big Turtle Island, the boss of the Big Circle, Sixth Old Man Fan, gulped down a glass of Lao Baigan, slammed the table and shouted, Good. Kong Taechu is finally dead. I can finally see the light of day again, he said drunkenly to Xiao Wu, the person in charge of the North America region. Announce on the dark roll immediately. 500 million USD, no. There's a reward of 1 billion USD for anyone who can kill Jiang Taichu's remaining henchmen. Chapter 411. Some were happy while others were sad. These organizations and giants were all ruthlessly beaten and cleaned up by Jiang Tian during the bloodbath in Jinling. They had always hated Kong Taechu in their hearts, but there was nothing they could do about it. Now that they heard of Jiang Taichu's death, they could be said to be celebrating and in high spirits. Moreover, they were eager to make a move and fought to be the first to sneak into Huaxia to attack Jiang Tian's forces and wash away the humiliation from back then. Master Kong, may I come in? A few hours later, Ishi Yulian asked respectfully at Jiang Tian's door. Come in. Jiang Tian opened his eyes and slowly exhaled a white breath as he nodded slightly. Master Kong, the Japanese officials have released a statement. Ishi Yulian walked in and bowed at Jiang Tian's feet. At this time, she had changed into a white kimono with pink flowers, which made her breasts even more prominent. Her waist was slender, and when she bowed, she revealed a snow-white and slender neck, which made people daydream. Her waist and buttocks also revealed a perfectly round arc, which was extremely tempting. Ishi Yulian reported the relevant situation and then said, Master Kong, what should we do next? Take them by surprise and attack them when they are unprepared. Naturally, we should wipe out the Sakura Kai and the 4 great shrines in one fell swoop. Jiang Tian sat cross-legged on the sofa, calmly sipping his fragrant tea, and said with a calm expression. His tone was so relaxed that it was as if he was facing a group of ants instead of a behemoth ranked in the top 10 of the world's strongest organizations. Hearing this, Yishi Yulian's delicate body suddenly trembled, and her beautiful face became as pale as paper. She said with a trembling voice, "Master Kong, I know that your cultivation is strong, but do you know what kind of terrifying existence the Sakura Kai is? Tell me." Jiang Tian said lightly. The Cherry Blossom Society was established during the Meiji Restoration. It has a history of several hundred years. A look of deep fear appeared on Ishiyurin's face as he said, "They are directly responsible to the Japanese royal family, and they have the sword sage Ryutaro Momoi as their president, King Aoki, Sasaki Kaisha, and many other god-tier ninjas and kendo masters. In addition, many top financial groups such as Mitsui will provide financial support. Especially since they have Kamo Yunwen, Onpei Jipping, and Onpei Hiroshi, for top onmyojis. Their onmyojis are unfathomable. Each of the 4 onmyojis is in charge of a shrine, and each shrine has 3 shikigami. These shikigami have been worshipped and worshipped by hundreds of millions of people in Japan since the Heian era. After hundreds of years of history, they have formed an enormous amount of spiritual power, and each shikigami is stronger than an immortal. Ampere Clear Kong and Hattori Hanzo, whom you encountered in South Korea's Tanjun sect, are only the weakest of the 4 shrines, Nozomiya Shrine, in the secular world. You can imagine how powerful the Cherry Blossom Society and the other shrines are. Do you mean that I am not a match for the Cherry Blossom Society? Jiang Tian looked at her with a faint smile. Ishiyurin's body trembled slightly, and she shook her head with a pale face. "Master Kong, that's not what I meant, it's just that," she hemmed and hawed, wanting to say something but hesitating. "What? Tell me, I won't eat you." "Grandmaster Jiang, your magic power is as high as the heavens. I admire you very much, but why do we have to look for trouble?" Yishi Yulian crawled in front of Jiang Tian, his plump chest pressed against Jiang Tian's calf. He looked up at Jiang Tian's charming face and said in a sorrowful voice, "Master Kong, I have tens of billions of USD in the Swiss bank. I can give it all to you. We can buy an island in the Pacific Ocean and live a carefree life. No one will disturb us. I have made up my mind." Jiang Tian said, "If you are willing to follow me and be my guide. After I take over the Cherry Blossom Society, you will be the president. If you are not willing, you can leave after I set foot in Japan. None of this has anything to do with you." "What? Master is willing to let me be the president of the Cherry Blossom Society?" Ishiyurin couldn't believe her ears. The president of the Cherry Blossom Society was extremely prestigious. Mitsui, Sumitomo, Mitsubishi, Yasuda and many other tycoons worshipped him and gave him billions of assets. He was the leader of many kendo, ninja and onmyoji sects in Japan. He could sit on the same level as the Prime Minister of Japan and was second only to the Emperor of Japan. Needless to say, this was a great temptation for Ishiyurin. Of course, it was also very risky. "I will give you 1 minute to think about it." Jiang Tian slowly closed his eyes and continued to meditate cross-legged. "I am willing." Ishiyurin was indeed the queen of Japan's underground world. It only took her 5 seconds to think before she agreed. She was like a kitten in heat. She wiggled her voluptuous body and jumped into Jiang Tian's arms. Her red lips moved to Jiang Tian's ear and said, "Master Kong, I, Ishiyurin, will never forget your kindness. Tonight, I am willing to give you everything I have to serve you." "Forget it." Jiang Tian gently pushed her away. His face was expressionless as he said in an indifferent tone, "I already have a wife." Ishiyurin was startled and couldn't believe it. She had practiced the yin-yang arts seduction technique and was extremely seductive. Normally, she didn't need to offer her body at all. She only needed to throw a look and those celebrities, politicians, and tycoons would listen to her without any resistance. But she didn't expect Jiang Tian to reject her. Her charming eyes flashed with a trace of dimness as she softly said, "Then Grandmaster Jiang, you should rest. The sky turned white as the sun rose, sprinkling down thousands of golden rays and plating the undulating sea with a layer of gold. Gunshot! What a powerful aura! Suddenly, Jiang Tian opened his eyes and his heart skipped a beat. He immediately opened the cabin door and came to the deck and looked into the distance. In the sea 20 nautical miles away, a young man in black was standing on the back of a huge blue whale about 10 meters long. Like a whistling arrow, he rushed toward a fleet of 7 or 8 ships. The young man was about 17 or 18 years old. He wore a greasy black robe and carried a broken iron sword on his back. His shoulder-length hair was tied into a bun and there was a bamboo chopstick stuck in it. The blue whale swam extremely fast, bobbing up and down, but he stood there as if his feet were rooted to the ground. His body was as straight as a javelin, but also like an unsheathed sword. He looked sloppy, but at the same time he gave off a strange feeling of sharpness. His skin was dark, but healthy and clean. His sword-like eyebrows slanted to his temples. His pair of long and narrow eyes were filled with a playful smile. He pursed his thin lips and looked fearless. "Master Kong, this is a whaling ship from Japan. Don't worry, they won't dare to hurt us." Ishi Yurin quickly walked over and observed with a pair of high-powered binoculars before respectfully reporting. "Don't talk." Jiang Tian waved his hand and looked at the young man with a serious expression. He felt a very powerful aura from the young man. This kind of aura was far more condensed and refined than the true chi of a martial artist. It was only one step away from the true essence of the cultivation world. As for ninja and the sword aura of Japanese kendo, they were worlds apart and could not be compared at all. He's not a martial artist, but a different kind of cultivator. Could it be that he's a member of the legendary hidden sect? Jiang Tian muttered with interest. With the blue whale swimming at high speed, the young man was soon only a few hundred meters away from the nearest whaling ship. At that moment, his body shot out like a whistling arrow and crossed a distance of 200 meters in an instant. The tip of his foot tapped on the undulating waves, and his body rose up again like a nimble swallow. He landed on the whaling ship in an instant. He pulled out his broken iron sword and swaggered over, killing more than a dozen crew members as if he were cutting vegetables. He held a mink whale that was at least a few hundred kilograms and put it in the sea. Then he clapped his hands and pounced on another whaling ship. In just 10 minutes, more than 100 crew members on the 8 whaling ships were all killed by Du Gushao. He also put more than a dozen whales into the sea, but unfortunately, 3 of them were already dead. Du Gushao had lived in a mysterious small world in the Hengduan Mountains since he was young. He spent all his time training, until he was 18 years old. All he saw were grandmasters, masters, uncles, seniors, juniors, and a bunch of rough men. He did not even know that women existed in the world. Until one day he stole a smartphone from his master. That was when he opened the door to a new world. It turned out that there was such a wonderful world outside the Sky River Ridge of the Hengduan Mountains. There were skyscrapers, cars, televisions, computers, planes, trains, guns, missiles, and even women. His master always said that he was picked up from a latrine pit, but in fact, he was born from a woman. Du Gushao did not take the phone for himself. Instead, he quietly put the smartphone back. He was a man with dreams. He would never be satisfied with understanding the world through a phone. He wanted to be in close contact with and experience the wonderful life outside the mountains. He wanted to go down the mountain. He wanted to run away. So, he flipped through many of his master's books. After some indirect analysis, coupled with his amazing perception and good luck, he finally figured out the method to open his master's forbidden array. A few days ago, he finally sneaked down the mountain. That night, he took the train to Zhonghai City. His first stop was a bar. He saw a lot of scantily dressed women. After drinking 3 bottles of Maodai, he felt dizzy. He turned around and left in a cool manner. He was beaten up badly by the bar's security guards. He was from his master's sect. The sect rules were very strict. He would never kill a nobody. Only then did he know that if he wanted something in this world, he had to pay with cash. The price of blood. Chapter 412. The next day he snatched an off-road vehicle and sped through the downtown area, hitting 3 cars and causing a small car accident. When the police arrived, he ran away. How could the police be faster than him? At that time, the shocked police officers scolded him. "Little punk, you run faster than an F1 car. What's the use of snatching someone's car? What's the use of it?" "Yeah, he runs so fast. He's going to the Olympics to win glory for the country. If he goes, Lu Xiang will have nothing to do with him." Several police officers thought so. The next night, he robbed a robber who had just robbed someone else and got a few thousand yuan. Without an ID card, he spent the night in an illegal internet cafe and ate a bowl of Laotan pickled cabbage beef noodles extravagantly. He even added 2 grilled sausages and ordered a bottle of iced black tea. His purpose of going online was, of course, good. He wanted to know more about this wonderful world. While he was surfing the internet in this internet cafe, he saw a documentary called Dolphin Bay on a video website. This documentary showed the story of Taiji in Gashan County, Japan, where the blue sea turned scarlet due to the killing of dolphins and whales. Dugu Xiao, who had always loved small animals, choked and cried like a child who had lost his favorite toy. Such a big fish and such a cute little animal. How could these Japanese bear to kill them? How despicable! Dugu Xiao's tears and a long string of snot fell into the bowl of noodles. He didn't know whether to throw it away or eat it. It was very awkward. In the morning, Dugu Xiao used the remaining few hundred yuan to buy a second-hand smartphone. He went to the seaside and hired a broken fishing boat to search for a whaling ship. However, this fishing boat didn't have the ability to sail long distances. After dozens of nautical miles, the captain asked to return. Dugu Xiao was very helpless. However, he found a blue whale and quickly tamed it with his fists. He waved his hand to let the stunned captain return. He rowed the blue whale all the way to find a whaling ship. Boring. What should I do next? Dugu Xiao found a bottle of beer and some dry rations in the cabin. He ate and drank in large mouthfuls as he looked at the boundless sea in boredom. Why don't we go to Japan and have some fun? According to those movies, the women there are very open. You can even see them on the tram. Dugu Xiao chuckled, as if he had finally found a goal in life. The next moment, he slapped himself hard and said coldly, "No, I should challenge Miyamoto Geniki of the Japanese Sword God Palace. According to my master, Miyamoto Geniki once went to Huaxia to challenge him and killed many people from his sect." He ran excitedly to the cockpit and, after a flurry of maneuvering, finally got the fishing boat started. However, the most depressing thing was that he couldn't understand the navigation chart. There were also many navigation instruments that he didn't understand. Drive to the east. You can't go wrong. Look at the direction of the sun. Dugu Xiao pondered for a while and finally nodded. Drive east. You're already in America. If you want to go to Japan, you should go northeast. Why don't I take you there? Suddenly, a gentle voice rang out behind him. Dugu Xiao was so shocked that his whole body tensed up and his soul almost flew out of his body. His spiritual perception was very strong and was the best in the entire sect. He could suppress many of his senior brothers and uncles. Even his master was inferior to him. Even the slightest sound within a radius of 5 miles could not escape his ears. However, the other party had approached him silently. He was obviously an expert. In an instant, he turned his head abruptly. The aura in his body rose steadily and gathered in the palm of his hand. He immediately looked at the young man in white and said angrily, "Who are you? Who let you in? This is not your boat. If you can enter, why can't I?" Jiang Tian said with a smile. "Get out. If you don't get out, I'll beat you up." Dugu Xiao gnashed his teeth and said fiercely, "See? I killed all the people on this boat. The people on the other boats were also killed by me. I'm a baddie who kills without batting an eye." "Then you can try." Jiang Tian looked at him with interest, wanting to test the strength of the people from the Yin sect. Dugu Xiao stomped his feet on the ground, and the entire ship trembled slightly, as if it was going to fall apart. His figure had already shot out like an arrow, and his fist smashed towards Jiang Tian's chest with a strange whistling sound. "Good," Jiang Tian praised, and met the attack with a punch. With a muffled bang, the two fists collided. Like a grenade explosion, the air billowed in all directions. Boom, boom. Half of the cockpit was blown apart by the violent wind from the punch as if it had been bombarded by a cannonball. Jiang Tian had just used 80% of the cultivation of the Gingjin divine body. His fist was like steel, but he could still feel the pain. He sighed in his heart. This kid's cultivation was so strong that his punch could definitely break a stone. His strength should be half a step away from the immortal state. He might even be in the early stages of the immortal state. He was far stronger than Xiao Bin and Wang Chongyan. Even Yi Zhantian was slightly weaker than him. For an 18-year-old boy to have such a terrifying cultivation, it seemed that the people of the Yin sect did have some tricks up their sleeves. Dugu Xiao, on the other hand, was sent flying with a whoosh. He broke through the cockpit and fell into the sea. However, with a flick of his fingers, 2 streams of air shot out from his fingertips and coiled around the side of the ship like flexible tentacles. After that, his body was lifted up and landed on the deck again. He looked at Jiang Tian in shock and despair. Who are you? Which Yin sect are you from? How can you defeat the little genius Dugu Xiao? Dugu Xiao was shocked and looked at Jiang Tian with fear and vigilance. Master once said that the people of the Yin sect disregarded the law. They went around robbing treasures and killing people for their treasures. Is this person trying to kill me for my treasures? But I went down the mountain empty-handed. Maybe he wants to force me to tell him the location of Langyi Academy. Is he here to rob me? Oh, so your name is Dugu Xiao. Does that mean you're from the Yin sect? Jiang Tian smiled. I can't believe I said my name. Dugu Xiao hurriedly covered his mouth and stared at Jiang Tian. He waited for a while before he said in a cute manner, Do you think I will tell you that I am from the Yin sect? Gah. I think I accidentally said it again. However, I will never tell you that my sect is in the Hengduan Mountains. Gah. I accidentally said it again. Then I will tell you that I am from the secular world and have nothing to do with the Yin sect. Can you tell me the name of your sect? Jiang Tian smiled. Are the martial artists in the secular world so powerful? How is that possible? You must be lying to me. Dugu Xiao said proudly and disdainfully, Do you think that I am stupid because I have never been to the secular world? You are wrong. My IQ is very high. I just did an IQ test online the day before yesterday. I am Kong Teichu, number 1 on the Master God list and number 3 on the World Dark Roll. I am the State Preceptor of Singapore and also the leader of the Heavenly Alliance. Have you never heard of my name? Jiang Tian stood with his hands behind his back and raised his eyebrows. He was even more arrogant and disdainful. I have never heard of you. Master God list. What is the Dark Roll? Is it a school exam ranking? Dugu Xiao thought carefully and asked seriously as he stared at Jiang Tian with his bright eyes. His words hit Jiang Tian so hard that he wanted to cry but had no tears. This guy was clearly a naive and ignorant fool. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Do you want to go to Japan with me? I also want to challenge the Dong Yang sword god. Jiang Tian smiled and sent out an invitation. Jiang Tian had lived 2 lives and had lived for 10,000 years in his previous life. He had seen countless people. He could tell at a glance that Dugu Xiao had a pure and kind heart and was someone worth befriending. It was good to have more friends in the hidden sect. My master said that one should not harm others but guard against others. What if you want to harm me? Dugu Xiao looked at Jiang Tian warily. What's the point of killing you? You have a total of $200 on you, and a broken sword that you made with iron sheet. What is there for me to snatch? Jiang Tian said with a lazy smile. Dugu Xiao's face turned red. He rubbed his chin and hesitated for half a minute before he looked up and said, All right, I have nothing to do anyway. I will go with you. But don't even think about harming me. I am very powerful. I only used 30% of my strength just now. You used all your strength, okay? That's all you have. Jiang Tian snickered in his heart but was too lazy to expose him. He smiled and said, Let's go. Follow me to that big ship. There are all kinds of delicacies, wine, and beauties on it. I guarantee 5-star treatment. At this moment, the great Dongya had already arrived. Dugu Xiao looked over and said in astonishment, "A Japanese ship? You have a relationship with the Japanese?" "Just like you, I also snatched the ship." Jiang Tian stepped on the air and his body was as vigorous as a dragon. He crossed 500 meters and landed on the deck of the great Dongya with a whoosh. "Show off? What are you showing off for? Do you think I don't have this kind of movement technique?" Dugu Xiao pursed his lips and muttered in a very black-bellied manner. Seeing Jiang Tian looking at him from the opposite side, he deliberately showed off his martial arts. He stood with his hands behind his back and his feet stepped on the ground. He stepped on the air as if he was walking on flat ground. His body floated straight towards the great Dongya. The sea breeze blew and Dugu Xiao's black robe fluttered in the air. The hem of his robe fluttered like a flag. The black hair hanging on his cheeks also fluttered. His starry eyes were like lightning. His lips were like knives. His eyebrows were slightly raised. He was extremely handsome and flirtatious. Ishi Yulian looked at him with reverence and asked Jiang Tian, "Master Kong, is this young man an expert?" This movement technique is not inferior to Qiao Bin, Wang Chongyan, and Yi Zhantian of the older generation. Jiang Tian nodded in approval. He was only 1 meter away from the great Dongya. But suddenly, his breath and strength were exhausted. His body tilted and with a splash, he fell into the water. "Idiot!" Jiang Tian held his forehead and said helplessly. Ishi Yulian at the side laughed out loud. She covered her small mouth and was extremely charming. "Actually, if I want to use my martial arts again, I can cross 500 meters. Do you believe me, Kong Teichu?" Dugu Xiao jumped onto the deck, his whole body drenched. He shivered as he looked at Jiang Tian with a serious expression. Chapter 413. I believe you. I believe you too much. A young man riding a whale. You are very strong and very coquettish. Jiang Tian nodded seriously. I'm not riding a whale, I'm standing on it. I've been standing on a plum blossom pile for 3 years. Dugu Xiao corrected seriously. Mr. Dugu, change your clothes. I'll help you wash them and dry them. Ishi Yulian walked up gracefully and said, No need. I can do it myself. Dugu Xiao's face turned red as he avoided Ishi Yulian's gaze and quickly waved his hand. He activated his cultivation technique, and his body immediately emitted wisps of white mist. Very quickly, his clothes were evaporated. What's the name of your cultivation technique? Is it a martial artist's true qi? Jiang Tian asked curiously. I don't know. In short, it can be used to fight and kill. My master said it's still true qi, but it's more condensed than a martial artist's true qi. Isn't it powerful? Dugu Xiao touched his black robe and found that it was completely dry. He smiled proudly. Then what's your cultivation level now? Jiang Tian pulled him into the cabin and asked Ishi Yulian to prepare the food. I don't know. What's your cultivation technique called? I don't know. My master taught me, so I learned it. My master said it's the second foundation cultivation technique. Dugu Xiao simply didn't know anything, making Jiang Tian speechless. Why don't you call it the third foundation cultivation technique? This name isn't domineering at all. Think about it. When others use raging sea sword art or Nitin first-class profound art, sacrificing blade, you throw out a punch and shout, second foundation cultivation technique. Very funny. Damn, this fish isn't cooked yet. How can you eat it? This is too barbaric. Aren't you afraid of diarrhea? This is called sashimi. Dip it in wasabi and soy sauce. This is the way to eat it. Jiang Tian really wanted to slap him. Oh, this is wasabi. Let me try. Dugu Xiao picked up a piece of sashimi, dipped it in a large amount of mustard, and hurriedly stuffed it into his mouth. Stop it? Jiang Tian couldn't stop him. He could only look at him sympathetically. Why are you looking at me like that? Dugu Xiao looked at Jiang Tian in confusion. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and gasped for air. His tears and snot flowed out together. He also had a feeling of difficulty breathing and his heart constricted. Fuck, this fish is poisonous. Kong Teichu, you actually wanted to harm me. To think that I trusted you so much? Gudu Xiao glared at Jiang Tian with resentment. Can you be more mature? Mustard is very pungent. That's the taste. You can't eat it. Don't eat so much. Have a drink. Jiang Tian wanted to slap him to death. Is that so? Gudu Xiao's face turned red. He knew that he had made a fool of himself due to his lack of experience. He hurriedly picked up the glass of fruit juice and gulped it down. He was finally done. He smiled awkwardly and said, "Why didn't you tell me earlier? Wouldn't I know if you told me earlier? It really feels like poison. It tastes similar to the 5 steps intestine-shattering powder. Who knew that you were so inexperienced? You haven't even eaten mustard or sashimi before." Jiang Tian rolled his eyes at him. "If you say that again, I'll get angry with you. I'm not going to play with you anymore." Dugu Xiao stood up angrily and turned to leave. Jiang Tian did not stop him. Those fishing boats had already been thrown dozens of nautical miles away. His blue whale had also swam away. "If you have the guts, fly over there." Not long later, Dugu Xiao came back with a dejected face. He sat down on the sofa and looked at Jiang Tian with resentment. "Humph, I've boarded a pirate ship this time. You're simply too hateful. Since you're already here, take it easy. Whale-riding youth, let's enjoy our trip to Japan together." Jiang Tian said with a chuckle. "I'm not riding, I'm standing. Why do I feel like you're mocking me? It's as if I'm riding a pig. That's the plum blossom pile footwork. Are you as stable as me?" Dugu Xiao corrected him angrily. "Not bad, not bad. Very stable," Jiang Tian said with a smile. "How many days have you been out? Does your sect know? Do you want to make a phone call to tell them that you're safe?" "If I make a phone call, my master will definitely catch me and beat me up," Dugu Xiao said with a frightened face. "You're just telling them that you're safe. You don't have to tell them your location. How can they catch you? Don't let your family worry," Jiang Tian said. "That's the reason. My master said that no one from my sect has left the mountain for 20 years. Moreover, they always thought that I didn't have the ability to break the mountain gate's sealing array. They might think that I've gone missing and be very worried." Dugu Xiao frowned and said with distress, "But my phone has no signal now. I must have bought a fake phone." "It's not a fake phone. There's no signal here." Jiang Tian was speechless. "Why is there no signal? There's always signal outside. I even went online." Dugu Xiao asked curiously, "Do you know of a device called a signal base station?" Jiang Tian helplessly explained for 10 minutes. Dugu Xiao nodded his head. "I understand. But I can't make a phone call." "You can make a call. Use a satellite phone." Jiang Tian put his hand into his pocket and pretended to search for something. He took out a satellite phone from his storage ring and handed it over. "Brother Dugu, how can a satellite phone connect?" Dugu Xiao asked curiously. "Don't call me Brother Dugu. I'm not a Brother Dugu." Jiang Tian was speechless and explained for another 10 minutes. "So that's the case. Brother Dugu, you're so knowledgeable." Dugu Xiao gave a thumbs up and praised seriously. It seemed that Dugu Xiao wasn't completely ignorant of the ways of the world. Sometimes he would also flatter others. Jiang Tian sighed helplessly and waved his hand. "All right, hurry up and call your master." A moment later, the phone was connected. Dugu Xiao and his master chatted for a while, deeply reflecting on his wrongdoings of leaving the sect without permission. Then he smiled and said, "Master, don't worry. I'm with Kong Teichu. We're going to Japan to kill the origin of the Japanese sword god palace." "Kong Teichu?" His master's tone was a little serious. "Give the phone to Master Kong. I'll talk to him." Jiang Tian took the phone and hurriedly said, "Senior, do you have any instructions?" "I wouldn't dare. Mr. Jiang is known as the #1 master on the divine list. He's a top master in the secular world. I'm Dugu Qing Mu from Langi Academy. Everyone calls me Taoist Qing Mu." The other party introduced himself and looked very humble. "Oh, so it's Taoist Qing Mu. It's an honor to meet you." Jiang Tian never knew what the Langi Academy was, but he still replied politely. After all, it was normal to be polite. Dugu Qingmu chuckled and said, "You're really not dead. I thought you were dead. I saw some news on the dark web." "Oh, I'm talking to the Japanese mainly to let them release a statement that the Great Mountain incident has nothing to do with Hua Xia's officials." Jiang Tian explained. "Master Kong, this is the first time Dugu Xiao has been to the secular world. He's very innocent. Please guide and take care of him." Dugu Qingmu said very politely. "You're welcome. It's nothing. Actually, his cultivation is not bad. I also admire him." Jiang Tian said politely. "Oh, you can give the phone to Dugu Xiao." Dugu Qingmu said. Jiang Tian handed the phone to Dugu Xiao. Dugu Qingmu said seriously, "Ah Xiao, this Master Kong is an expert. Although he's from the secular world, his cultivation is much higher than most of the people in the hidden sects. You must respect him and not be rude." "Master, I understand." Dugu Xiao agreed verbally, but he still glared at Jiang Tian unhappily. "Didn't you say that we're in the top 10 in the hidden sects and that the strongest person in the secular world is no match for us? Ah Xiao, is the outside world fun?" Dugu Qingmu's voice became more amiable. "Master, it's fun, but it's not like the love between brothers in the academy. It's not as simple as that. I even met robbers and whalers. The people there are very bad." Dugu Xiao's eyes suddenly turned red. Perhaps he was a little homesick. Come back quickly after going to East Asia for a while. The deadline is 1 month. If you exceed it, I'll beat you up when I come back." Dugu Qingmu's tone was still very amiable, but it scared Dugu Xiao so much that he trembled. "I definitely won't exceed the deadline. Don't worry," Dugu Xiao hurriedly promised. "Master Kong is very famous in the secular world. He's also a very nice person. You don't have to be guarded against him. You can tell him everything you know. Moreover, if he dominates Japan, it'll be very beneficial to Hua Xia's martial arts world and even the hidden sections. You have to help him. Don't just eat, drink and play. You'll ruin the reputation of our Langyi Academy." Dugu Qingmu was still worried and asked, "Don't worry. Your grandfather was actually killed by Miyamoto Geniki. Your father was also seriously injured." "Master, don't worry. I also want to spar with the experts in Japan. I heard that they have ninjas or something. They're very powerful." Dugu Xiao was suddenly interested. He patted his chest and said with exultation. However, he found that his master had already hung up the phone, which made Dugu Xiao feel a little disappointed. However, he was still a teenager after all. He quickly put this emotion to the back of his mind. This kid was like a curious baby. He kept asking Jiang Tian all kinds of questions. He kept calling him Brother Chu, which made Jiang Tian feel very helpless. Jinling, Fulong Mountain Villa. "Mistress, I saw news on the dark web that Mr. Jiang has fallen. Is this true?" Hua Qingtian, Zhao Yuankuan, Wei Feilong, and many other martial arts and sorcery experts gathered. They looked at Zhao Xueqing, who was sitting at the head of the table, with furrowed brows and solemn expressions. Ever since they became acquainted with Jiang Tian, they all obtained natural luck, their cultivation all increasing to different degrees. It could be said that Jiang Tian was their benefactor, a deity. Now that they heard this news, they all panicked. "This is fake news. Because an old friend of my husband's destroyed the Great Mountain and several other Japanese patrol ships around the Diaoyu Islands, it caused an uproar in Japan. Someone needed to take responsibility, and Jiang Tiankai stood up for her and was escorted to Japan." Zhao Xueqing had already received Jiang Tian's satellite phone call and said calmly. Chapter 414. Not long ago, my husband took control of Lord Tanjuan's faction in South Korea and killed a few elites from the Nomiya Shrine. Furthermore, the Sakura Society and the Jiang family of Jinlin City are mortal enemies. Therefore, the Japanese elite couldn't wait to give the order to act as soon as they took over my husband. Jiang Tian killed Hanzo Hattori and Nagaki Miyamoto, and captured Ishii Yurin, the leader of the Yamaguchi-gumi. In order to prevent the Hua Xia government from being implicated, they had no choice but to let Ishii Yurin explain to the Japanese government. After Qing'er finished, I see. Master Kong is not dead. That's great. Master Kong is so domineering. I can't believe he has taken control of the Tonkuin faction. Even the president of South Korea has to bow down to him. Hanzo Hattori is a divine ninja and Nagaki Miyamoto is a kendo grand teacher. Both of them are as powerful as immortal state warriors. Even Ishii Yurin is Master Kang's prisoner. That's great. Raise the prestige of our country, raise the prestige of our country. If this news gets out, it will shake the world. Many of the people present let out a long sigh of relief. Then, they exclaimed excitedly one after another. However, Wei Feilong said seriously, "Madam, since the Japanese government has already made an announcement, why don't Master Kong come back as soon as possible? If the Japanese overlords realize what is going on, there will be another massacre. What's there to be afraid of?" Zhao Xueqing knew that he was a wise man, so she wasn't angry. A hint of pride appeared in her eyes as she smiled warmly and said, "My husband went to Japan this time to destroy the Japanese cultivation world and kill the leader of the Sakura Society, Ryutaro Momoi and Genichi Miyamoto. He will be the shame of Hua Xia's martial arts world." What? Destroy the Sakura Society and kill Ryutaro Momoi and Genichi Miyamoto? Wei Feilong's body trembled as he heard this. He couldn't believe it and he felt uneasy. "Grandmaster Jiang, this is..." Everyone else sucked in a breath of cold air in unison. Their faces were incomparably shocked as they looked at each other in dismay. Japan did not have hidden factions like the hidden sections. The Cherry Blossoms Association could be said to be the culmination of Japan's cultivation world. They were extremely powerful and were like a country. The current Sword Saint, Sakura Blossom Society's president, Momoi Rutaru, was already very terrifying. However, the old Sword God Palace's origin Ichi was even more terrifying. He was the only remaining sword god in Japan and a legendary figure in the Japanese martial arts world. He was truly at the immortal state. It could also be one of the most powerful creatures on this planet. It was said that he hadn't fought for more than 60 years, but Nagara Miyamoto and many other masters of kendo sects had received his guidance and worshipped him as a disciple. In the Japanese martial arts world, he was a legend. This was a myth. His status was equivalent to Hua Xia's guardian, Yi Tianren. Although Wang Chongyan was a grandmaster of the older generation, he had yet to step into the divine realm. Compared to him, the difference was too great. As for Yi Zhantian, Xiao Bin, and Lin Zhenyu, compared to him in terms of seniority, the difference in strength was even greater. Although Jiang Tian was very powerful, he had just stepped into the immortal state not long ago. He might even be half a step into the immortal state. It was hard to say who would win this battle. Hong Ye's hands trembled slightly. He frowned and said, "Mistress, Master Kang's strength is earth-shattering. However, I heard that there are 4 major shrines in Japan. Each of them is guarded by a Onmyoji and a Shikigami. These Onmyoji's strength is not inferior to that of a Taoist master. If Master Kong goes in alone, he will be attacked from both sides. I'm afraid he won't be able to fight against so many. My husband has considered all these aspects. However, he is 100% confident. You don't have to worry." Zhao Xueqing nodded and smiled gently. "What I'm worried about is that my husband and I have killed many people in Jinling. I'm afraid they will still hold a grudge against us. Will the news of my husband's death attract the attention of many powerful people in the dark world? It's very possible. These forces are all cruel, bloodthirsty, and ruthless people. At the same time, they value their reputation very much. I'm afraid that they will only be able to hold their heads high if they come to Jinling and cause trouble." Hua Qingtian's expression was solemn as he agreed. "That's what I think too. I hope that everyone can lend a hand to the Jiang clan." Zhao Xueqing grabbed the top of the little monkey's head and smiled gently. "However, my husband thinks that all of you are in a high position and have a big family. It's inconvenient for us to trouble you. He strictly ordered me not to disturb you. However, I still hope that if possible, you can send a few disciples to protect the Jiang family." Zhao Xueqing's words were very polite and appropriate. Everyone in the Heaven Alliance was touched. "Mistress, You are too polite. Zhao Yuankuan patted his chest and said, during the bloodbath in Jinling, that old thief Qiaobin happened to invade China. We were ordered to split up and chase after him. This bunch of Dark World bastards took advantage of us. How can we miss this opportunity? Yes, once you join the Heaven Alliance, you will be a Heaven Alliance member forever. It's our honor to be able to serve Master Kong. We will call our disciples over to guard the Jiang family strictly. These little bastards from the Dark World dare to target the Jiang family. They must be tired of living. Do they think that the Heaven Alliance is useless? Yes, this time, we must make sure that they don't return. We must wipe them out in Huaxia. Many of the Heavenly Alliance's members felt their blood boiling and their heroism soaring to the sky. They patted their chests loudly and rubbed their fists and palms with murderous intent. Yes, then let's discuss how to set up the defense. The Jiang family's business is very big now, and we really need a lot of people. Zhao Xueqing fed the little monkey a grape and nodded with satisfaction. After everyone finished discussing, they split up and took action. Zhao Xueqing called Wei Feilong over and smiled politely. Mr. Wei, how much do you know about the Condor team? Condor team? Wei Feilong had a deep fear on his face. He bowed and said, the Condor team has been developing rapidly in recent years. After he finished his introduction, Zhao Xueqing nodded and said, okay, you investigate in detail and give me the relevant information. Yes, mistress. Wei Feilong bowed respectfully and asked carefully, Mistress, why are you suddenly interested in this organization? This group of people seems to have bad intentions towards my husband. I want to talk to them. If they are obedient, then I will let it go. Zhao Xueqing smiled faintly and said, if they don't listen to my kind words and dare to play tricks again, I will kill them all. Lin Zhou, Tang family, Crouching Dragon Villa. Tang Linglong, who was wearing pajamas, had a broken face. There were dark circles under her eyes, and her delicate lips were cracked. She looked very haggard. Although Jiang Tian was responsible for the Great Mountain incident and she was not convicted, she had been dismissed from the army. In fact, Chao Shixiang cherished Tang Linglong very much. He knew that she was a rare talent and had been mediating for her for many days. However, the Condor team was too powerful. Many big shots and departments had joined forces to pressure them. Chao Shixiang's many protests were useless. He had no choice but to give them an explanation and appease the anger of the higher-ups. At the very least, she had to be shelved for a period of time. She could only be appointed after the situation calmed down. Master, could it be that he's already dead? However, when she saw the news on the dark web, her head buzzed, and she almost fainted. This can't be true. Master is like a god. How can he be dead? Tang Linglong could not believe it. She wiped her tears and scrolled the mouse, carefully reading the many discussions on the dark web. I caused Master's death. Gradually she believed it. She felt like her heart was being cut by a knife. It was so painful that even breathing became difficult. Her pair of beautiful eyes seeped out large drops of tears, painfully clutching her chest, wailing loudly, tears falling like rain. I want to avenge Master. I want to destroy the Condor team. I want to destroy Beidasheng. I want to flatten the Japanese cherry blossom society. Suddenly, she stood up, and her beautiful face suddenly became cold and solemn. She gnashed her teeth to the point they almost shattered, and a murderous aura surged from her body as she hurriedly rushed out of the door. At this moment, her heart was filled with pain, regret, and guilt, as if there were 100,000 steel knives stirring at the same time. If she had not been reckless and caused trouble, her master would not have to suffer for her. He would not have been schemed against by the Condor team and killed by the Japanese. Her master had taught her cultivation techniques and brought her, an ordinary person, on the path of cultivation. She had the power of a transcendent master and seen the picturesque landscape of the world. Their friendship was as deep as the ocean. But what about her? She was arrogant and willful. She wanted to die just because of a trivial matter between a man and a woman. She caused her master to die an unnatural death. I will never see Master again in this life. The meeting at the Ningbo Naval Base was a farewell. She could not let go of this regret and guilt. It made Tang Linglong suffer. In the end, it turned into a monstrous hatred. Only by destroying the Condor team and the Japanese Cherry Blossom Society could she be appeased. If you don't repay your master, you are worse than a beast. If you don't kill your enemies, you are not a man. Linglong, come back. What are you doing? At the door, Tang Guizhou leaned on his walking stick and scolded sternly. Grandpa. Master was killed. Tang Linglong was stunned at first. Then, she threw herself into her grandpa's arms and cried loudly. So, you want to avenge your master? Your cultivation is still too low. You are courting death. Tang Guizhou patted his granddaughter's shoulder lovingly and said earnestly. Grandpa, so be it. Master is already dead. I would rather die than live. If I die, I won't have to suffer like this anymore. Tang Linglong cried herself hoarse. She was out of breath and almost fainted. She was weak all over and finally collapsed to the ground. Linglong, tell me, your feelings for Jiang Tian are? Tang Guizhou was old and shrewd. He had already seen some clues. Grandpa, I love Master. I want to give my all, my best, to him. I want to love him, and pity him with everything I have. Tang Linglong's limbs spasmed and twitched. I know he has a wife, and Sister Qing'er is very, very good to me. It is immoral for me to have such feelings for Master. I am sorry for Sister Qing'er, but I can't control it. I can't control my love for Master. She wept like a helpless child, like a cuckoo weeping blood or a ziggurat wailing. Every word was heart-wrenching and depressing. If I can, I am willing to sacrifice 20 or 30 years of my life in exchange for being Master's lover. Even if it's for a day, even if it's for an hour, it will be enough. My poor child, I really wish you didn't know Jiang Tian back then. Tang Guizhou felt sorry for his granddaughter. He sat on the ground and hugged her, tears running down his face. No, I never regret knowing him. It's just fate. When I met him, he was already married and had Sister Qing'er. I regret not meeting him before marriage. Tang Linglong choked with tears. Chapter 415. Let the flowers bloom and wilt. Tang Guizhou was more than 80 years old after all. He had seen through many things clearly and earnestly said, Don't worry. Life is not as smooth as you want. Linglong, you need to have an indifferent and tranquil state of mind. Everything is useless now. My master is dead. And I'm the one who killed him. Tang Linglong smiled sadly as tears rolled down her cheeks again. Despair engulfed her body and mind. There was nothing sadder than a dead heart. Her master was dead. Her heart was broken. He was dead. Tang Guizhou sighed and pondered for a long time before he said helplessly, Linglong, let me tell you the truth. Your master is not dead. How is that possible? There's news on the dark web. The Cherry Blossom Society even posted a picture of my master's body. Tang Linglong was dumbfounded. What does the picture look like? It's been burned to ashes. I can't see it clearly. That's your master's trick. Zhao Xueqing just called and told me the truth. Finally, Tang Guizhou told her what happened. I see. Tang Linglong nodded and smiled through her tears. I knew it. My master is so powerful. How could a few Japanese be his match? I'll go to Japan and help my master. No, don't go. Tang Guizhou frowned and said seriously, she told you not to feel guilty and not to blame yourself. You should work hard and don't forget your master's expectations of you. You are Jiang Tian's only disciple. But I want to fight side by side with my master. Besides, I've already retired. I'm completely free. Tang Linglong argued. You're only as powerful as a transcendent master. Are you a match for the immortal state overlords in Japan? Is there anything you can do? Tang Guizhou slammed his walking stick on the ground and said gently, Linglong, do you know why Jiang Tian chose Zhao Xueqing? Didn't they get married on a blind date? No one wanted my master back then. Tang Linglong said. Cough cough, Tang Guizhou awkwardly coughed. You can't be a vase if you want to be Kang Teichu's woman. What was Zhao Xueqing called herself now? In Hua Xia's martial arts world, She is known as the supreme beauty of the world. Grandpa, are you saying that if I become stronger, I will be worthy of my master? Tang Linglong asked. Yeah. Tang Guizhou was at his wit's end. He could only let her immerse herself in cultivation and calm her mind. Otherwise, if she went to Japan, who knew how much trouble she would bring to Jiang Tian? But that Tanjun Dao Palace's palace master, Li Jinju, doesn't seem to be very powerful. Why does master also like her? Tang Linglong said. Tanjuan's lineage? The palace lord of the Dao Palace? The Tanyang Dao Palace is the symbol of South Korea's national spirit. At least in South Korea, it is equivalent to the long history of Hwaxia. How is that not powerful? Tang Guizhou said. Oh. Tang Linglong sat there, and her eyes became firm. So, master does not like Li Jinju for her looks. He likes her because she is strong enough. That's right. Only the strongest is worthy of master. As for me, I can only be a burden to him right now. Jiang Tian likes Li Jinju, what's going on? Suddenly, Tang Guizhou asked curiously. Don't worry about it, I'm going to cultivate. Tang Linglong excitedly rushed into the room and sat down cross-legged, holding her breath. She swore in her heart. Master, I want to surpass Sister Qingya and Li Jinju. I want to become a strong person and be worthy of you. I want to be your woman. Even if I die, even if I go berserk, even if I have to go through hell, I will not be afraid. Take your time. Let master age slowly. Wait for me to break out of my cocoon and become a butterfly. After a few days of sailing, finally, they arrived at Fukuoka Prefecture. This was one of the largest cities in Kyushu. It was also a port. It was also a famous industrial center in Japan. At this time, on a brightly lit wharf, Nomiya Shrine's high priest Onpei Yashihei led many kendo masters, onmyoges, ninjas, as well as Kyushu's famous tycoons and high-ranking officials. They gathered here. They raised their heads in anticipation, happily waiting for the triumphant return of Ishii Yulien and the other two masters. In addition, there were dozens of top researchers from Imperial University, Tokyo University, and Waseda University. There was even a Nobel Prize winner in biology. They formed a human evolution and potential research group, supported by the Mitsui Consortium. They planned to cut Jiang Tian's body into pieces and study it. The road next to the pier was filled with black Lexus and police cars, forming a long black line that stretched for several miles. It was an astonishing sight. Many Yamaguchi-gumi's Kyushu branch in black suits and Japanese police officers with loaded guns were maintaining order. They were strictly guarding the wharf. No one was allowed to come close. At this time, a long siren sounded. The Daytonia had docked. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Ishii Yulien led a dozen people to carry a body on a stretcher and walked quickly to the wharf. Lord Onpei, Nomiya Shrine played a big part in killing Kong Taechu. A president of the Mitsui group bowed respectfully to Emperor Yashihira, as if he was a believer in the presence of a god. Yeah, Nomiya Shrine is the guardian of Kyushu. I didn't expect them to kill Kong Taechu. The mayor of Fukuoka said with a smile. What's so great about Kong Taechu? He had just reached the immortal state. Hattori Hanzo was an immortal-level ninja and Nagaki Miyamoto was one of the top 5 kendo masters in Japan. They were equal to 2 immortal state warriors. Onpei Yashihei wore a black hat and a loose robe. His old face was full of arrogance and disdain. He sneered, let's not talk about Kong Taechu. In fact, the entire cultivation world of Hwaxia is no match for Japan. They are just a bunch of ants. During the Yongzheng period of the Qing dynasty, people were prohibited from carrying swords and fighting in the ring. Those who violated the law would be punished severely. Death in the ring would be treated as murder. After all this, Hwaxia's martial arts had declined. That's why they were called the sick man of East Asia. After another 10 years of turmoil and the Four Olds movement, Hwaxia's masters of sorcery were either killed or killed. Many precious books were burned to the ground, and the school of sorcery was cut off. There was no successor. On the other hand, our swordsmanship, ninjutsu, and yin-yang jutsu are flourishing. With this, we will catch up. Yes, the Sakura Kai and the 4 major shrines of Japan are our national beliefs. Ninjutsu, Kendo, and Yin-Yang Jutsu are our national treasures. The government has given us great support in terms of manpower and wealth. The mayor of Fukuoka said, because we understand that the weakness of the people will lead to the weakness of the nation and the country. You must know that a group of sheep without any fighting spirit and only know how to sing praises will not be able to resist the invasion of tigers and wolves. Whether it is in terms of ideology or physique, weakening the people is destroying yourself. Do you really think you have killed Kong Taechu? Suddenly, a cold voice was heard. 2 silhouettes shot out from the Great East Asia like whistling arrows. What? This is Kong Taechu. Why isn't he dead? Many Japanese exclaimed. They shielded Abe Jipping and the other rich people as they took a few steps back. With a flash of cold light, Ishiyurin pulled out her katana and scolded, "Kneel down and surrender, and I will spare your lives." Ishiyurin, you dare to betray us? From now on, you are no longer the president. Kill her. The president of the Yamaguchi-gumi Kyushu branch, Hashimoto Takashi, pointed at Ishiyurin and shouted in anger. Many members were dumbfounded. They couldn't understand the situation. Because they didn't know Jiang Tian. They also didn't know why Hashimoto Takashi suddenly announced this order. This was going against his superiors. Kill them. Ampere Jipping understood everything in just a few seconds. His white eyebrows trembled as he roared loudly. His order was effective. Because the major forces in Kyushu, such as Kendo Nitten Ryu, North Star One Blade School, Heiga Ryu Ninjas, and Yamaguchi-gumi were all worshipped by Nomiya Shrine. As the Grand Priest of Nomiya Shrine, he could influence the selection and appointment of Yamaguchi-gumi. His words naturally carried weight. In an instant, more than 20 gunmen pulled out their pistols and pulled the trigger at Jiang Tian, Dugushao, and Ishiyurin. Bullets poured out like rain. The gunmen's faces were ferocious. It was as if they wanted to turn Jiang Tian and the others into sieves. Bang! Jiang Tian opened his hand. Sogo of 10,000 gold performed the mystic art and controlled all the metal elements. Hundreds of bullets flew out at the same speed as the bullets. Puff, 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 bang, bang, bang. In an instant, blood spurted out and dozens of people fell to the ground. All of them were shot into sieves and died a violent death. Some of them even had their heads and chests blown open. They died without a complete body. Suddenly, the remaining Yamaguchi-gumi members were scared out of their wits. They scattered in all directions. This man was like a demon. He was like a shikigami. How could he make the bullets fly out and kill people? Was he a human? A demon? Master Shao is here. Eat my blade. Eat my blade again. Dugu Shao screamed and jumped into the crowd with a katana in his hand. The katana danced in the air, cutting down and killing anyone in sight. His strength was comparable to a half-step immortal state warrior. His attack was 5 or 6 meters long and sharp. The blade chi was extremely condensed and sharp. It was far beyond the true chi of an ordinary martial artist. It could easily kill a kendo master. In an instant, it was a one-sided massacre. It was like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. Many East Asians fell into a pool of blood one after another. They were having a great time killing. Shao, don't worry about those bastards. Kill that old man. He is the Grand Priest of Nomiya Shrine. Jiang Tian pointed at Jipping who was running away and said coldly, "Is that so? This old man has such a powerful background." Dugu Shao let out a strange laugh. His body was as strong as a dragon. He climbed up and rushed toward Jipping. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.